Good morning, traders. And boy, is it an epic day today. I'll tell you what, it's not Jerome Powell that's going to blow the house down. It's money making Mitch, of course, guys. I'm super excited to tell you guys some special news that I'll save once we start the show on with Michael Noss, of course. Stick around for that. He'll be joining me at 9 a.m. It's 8:40, guys. Let's take a look at what's going on in the market. We'll take a look at the playbook, a lot on the Sunrise Report, and more to talk about in the earnings space. There was a ton of earnings that I think we can run through. I want to go ahead and do that today with multiple kind of platforms and tools. Like always, guys, I want to tell you guys, if you're not checking out our partners, you're definitely missing out. And like always, guys, hey, get the tools that can help you make the right trades. Of course, you guys see me use different scanners and charting services. Let's get to the action. Let's take a look at today's playbook action and see what's up my sleeve today. Let's go, guys. All right, first up, we needed to be thinking about what we can trade today. Well, today's going to be a little bit of a difficult trading action because, of course, who do we got? The big bad wolf, Jerome Powell. But that doesn't mean that we can't make any trades, guys. I actually tried a LiPo trade this morning, LIPO, smaller one. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But let's get to the action on the playbook today. One that's on the radar, ASTS, of course, yesterday was T-Mobile getting that lift. I'll just keep it on the radar right now. But what I'm looking at here is XLV. I've talked about this trade already once or twice, guys, and this actually pulled back last week. Was starting to look really good as we broke the high. That's when I played it on that Wednesday. Then it pulled back for 3 days after that. Now I'm looking to see if did they play it right back off support, and then it comes for the breakout towards that 148. So, of course, healthcare has been holding the line of support, setting up for that potential bounce. Watch for the pushback towards yesterday's high, and can the Bulls take control? Of course, the high there being 146.65. That's the level to watch there. We'll see what happens in XLV. Let's go to the next one on the playbook today. Love them or hate them. This is what I'm calling this trade, as I think it's an important one to keep an eye out for, as this is one that I've seen fade away before, guys. And I'm talking DJT action here. As I take a look there, what do I have? I have the MACD starting to cross down, looking like it wants to cross back over. But what has this stock done before? It's made a couple of runs. It almost reminds me of, dare I say it, GME. Yeah, it looks very similar to GME, actually. But DJT here, now going back to support. And it's been at this support many times before, around this $30. So right now, hanging at that 30.88, it looks prime for that move right back to 30 and maybe cutting down the 27 low of the 29.15. We'll see what happens here on DJT. Will it be a stock that holds on here, or will it come tumbling down? We'll see what happens, guys. Like always, this stock is in play. The setup screams bull trap for me. So if you see an early pop fade, we could see that flush right back down to that 30. All right, guys, let's go now to Amazon, as this is one that I'm looking at to see what happens with Shop. And we'll talk a little bit more about Shopify as one of our earnings stocks. And look how this bad boy is coming back. And I gave a level in my playbook here. I said eyes on Shop. If it flips green, this trade's off the table. But if Amazon stumbles out the gates, it's prime for a cut towards yesterday's low. We'll see what happens. Amazon already starting to cut down here. As you guys can see from 7 a.m., this is already faded about 78 cents. And that's when I was looking at it, 232. We'll see now if it can recover that. And does it head to yesterday's lows? We'll see what happens. That's 228.64. I think it's going to depend a lot on Shopify. If Shopify can get back through 121, yeah, I'd be a little bit careful of Amazon coming back and the play wouldn't be on. But flush right back, Shop, back towards 115, 110. Yeah, we could see this. We'll see what happens with this. The numbers really weren't that bad, but that's enough about the numbers. We'll save the numbers for the Sunrise Report coming up here in just a second. What's going on, the traders? How we doing? Good morning to you guys out there. Say hello if you're new to the show, or if you're out on X, do me the favor. Retweet this tweet right now. You guys are seeing it. I'm going to do the same right now. So this is something that even Money Mitch forgets to do because he's live. Let's go ahead. Let's give that retweet. I see myself right now getting after it. Let's give a nice little repost here. I'll do a quote. You guys out there, do me the favor. Hit the retweet right now, guys. And if you guys don't have our Twitter, you're missing out. And give us a like if you can, guys. I'm going to do a little repost here. I'll do some stocks that I'm watching this morning. Some of the Playbook action, right? Why not post that, right? It's looking good this morning. We'll see what happens with some of this Playbook. Can we get some cash today? Find out right here, of course, guys. And like always, guys, you guys can catch this on where? Catch this on Twitter. Get it, guys. Get my X. Get the trades out there, guys. We'll see what happens if we can get some good trades today. Just trying to shorten this up a little bit. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. Dun, dun, dun. I'm not giving them the good stuff. I'm just giving them the ideas, not why I like the trade. Well, you might have to take a look at it, guys. We'll see what happens there. Post in the Playbook. You guys check it out. Give me a nice little retweet. And you guys out there, do me a favor. Go ahead and give that nice retweet, guys. Like always, you guys can catch me on X. I'll give my portfolio here, guys. Here's my profile, guys. I'll throw it up there. And like always, if you're not following us, what are you waiting for, guys? Make sure that you guys are following Trade the Pool on Twitter, throwing it up right now. And it's definitely one of the best places to find the active traders out there. Let's get to the action. Let's go take a look at the Sunrise report. Let's talk about the Shopify report. What's moving out there? There's a lot to talk about in today's Sunrise report. First up, let's talk about, of course, Shopify, and we'll take a look at Shopify here as it smashed the Q4 estimates, but still didn't get the lift on the first action as the algos knocked it down. It went all the way down there towards 106. It's already back to 119. The revenues coming in here at $2.81 billion, up 31.3% year over year, and beat the expectations there. It's not looking bad at all, man. The operating income at $465 million, up 61%. Free cash flow at 37% higher, $611 million. CFO Jeff Hoffmeister highlighted Shopify's fastest GME growth in 3 years, hitting 24% year over year in 2024. Looking ahead, Q1 revenue expected to grow in the mid 20% range, while gross profit dollars rise as a low 20% rate. Can Shopify keep up this momentum? I'll tell you one thing, guys. There's very few companies that I feel like I should definitely own for my lifetime, and this is definitely one of those. When this stock came down there towards $50, $40, $30, I mean, think about it now, guys. You're already talking about a 200% gain. I always talk about how I wanted this stock at 45 when this thing came out of a base, came back into that, started to recover there, and then right there was a really good look. Best part is we got another look towards 45 in October of 23. Now, what do we get? We get another attempt there down here. It went to 40s just in 2024. And now look at it, guys. That's 140% raise now. I'm telling you, this is one that, man, I'm going to be looking back on and wanted it in the investment account. So we'll see if Shopify can continue right now. And Shopify moves a lot with Amazon. That's why I brought it up. We'll see if it's able to hold on because Amazon's looking good too. The earnings weren't looking bad either. I think it's just more of a matter if Shopify gets a pull back out the gates, I'll look for that Amazon flush back down. And another thing, crossover on the downside, and the big boys are showing a lot of struggling. We'll talk more about that during the show. Of course, today is all about the big bad wolf, though, at 10 a.m., right? You guys got to be careful as we, of course, will have Fed Chair Jerome Powell taking the hot seat before the Senate Banking Committee today, as he'll be following up also with the House Financial Services Committee on Wednesday. Both sessions kick off at 10 a.m. Eastern. What we're going to do is I'm going to look for the video. I'm going to actually try to bring in the audio for us so that we can continue listening in as that's happening. I don't expect too many fireworks, but of course, we'll see what happens. The big thing here is that's prepared remarks. That's interesting. I'll talk about that more with Michael Noss coming up here. Was the prepared remarks the reason why the market went down early in the pre-market today? Things to think about, right? Markets are bracing, of course, for this impact as Powell faces questions on ongoing tariff tensions and the Fed's policy uncertainty. Will he stay the course or hint towards a little bit more of that pivoting action, right? I mean, they have cut, but or will they continue to cut? We'll have to wait and find out. Let's go to BP here, as this is one that had news with Elliott Management just yesterday. And now you're seeing the news here. They reported a 48% drop in Q4 profits, missing the expectation of $1.69 billion in the underlying replacement cost profit versus $1.2 billion expected. The culprit, weaker refining margins and rising corporate costs. Despite the hit, BP is keeping investors happy with a $1.75 billion share buyback and an 8-cent dividend. But net debt is up 10% year over year, and analysts are starting to question if the buybacks pace can hold here, as of course BP is a pretty high and it did get a nice little jump with the bad earnings today. Does it just go and fill the gap? I think this is definitely a play that we got to keep a watch on. Right now it's holding pretty well for these bad earnings, right? Even though Elliott Management coming in here, will it continue to win today? I think this is definitely a stock that's in play. Depends if you want to play it or not, right? If it's your setup, but it's definitely something that's going to be moving. BP, we'll see what happens. All right, let's get out of here. Let's go to Marriott. Let's talk a little bit more about the consumer action. As you guys can see from the video, what was revealed here, guys? What was revealed, of course, let's take a look here at Marriott. BP, I'll show you guys BP really quickly. Sorry about that. So let me get you guys here. All right, BP, of course, you can see it right there between the 34.20s. We'll see if it can kind of get out of this hourly. It had that nice gap up from the Elliott Management. Could fill the gap on the downside, so I'd keep a watch on that space. That's a better looking space there for me. And one thing to tell me more and more that it could come back, it's outside the Bollinger Band. Lots of volume yesterday. Very low volume traded today. I think it could make an attempt to this 34.76 and then start to crash. So don't think it's just going to be instantly down. I think this is just one to watch, one in play. Let's get to Marriott. Let's talk about the Marriott, of course, numbers here as we take a look at what they reveal about the consumer demand. And I think it's interesting to think about it because Shopify's numbers, they were really good. Let's take a look here at Marriott's earnings here. The Q4 EPS here at $2.45 versus a $2.38 estimate. Q4 sales at $6.43 billion versus a $6.38 billion estimate. The Q1 EPS guidance now at $2.20 to $2.26 versus a $2.37 estimate. That's where you're starting to see the move down, and this is the little bit of a warning sign, right? The fiscal year 25 EPS guidance at $9.82 and to $10.19 on the high side. The estimate, though, $10.65. So really big misses here on the guidance is what's costing Marriott. The numbers were good. The guidance was horrible. This does not look good here, and it could tell me something about what's going on in the hospitality space, or maybe it's the consumer overall. Are we finally starting to see the slowdown? I think all questions to be had. Of course, I point to here the retail ETF, XRT, but you can see how that's pulled back. I need to continue to watch to see what happens here. Shopify didn't show any slowdown. Amazon didn't show any slowdown. But are we starting to see a little bit more slowdown maybe in the leisure space, right? We'll see what happens on even like Carnival Cruise Lines, right? You can see Royal Caribbean even starting to pull back. This looks like also an opportunity. If we are starting to see a slowdown, these could at least make a nice little pullback, maybe coming back here towards the 200 EMA or the 50. The 50 making sense here for Royal Caribbean towards the 243. We'll see if we start to get further pullback. All right, guys, Shopify now clearing that 121 tells me more and more, hey, get off of that Amazon to the downside trade. If Shopify can re-clear back to 125, Amazon could actually have a nice little break right back to the upside. We'll see what happens here out the gates. Definitely need to pay attention to this trade. Let's go to the last one here I want to talk about, which is Carrier Global. We could still talk about some other news. There are some other news, of course, Coca-Cola coming in. AutoNation is one that I want to talk about. It had better than expected results from the fourth quarter. We'll talk about that coming up as why I think it's an important one to keep watch on. But Carrier, we just talked about this yesterday with Piso. So shout out to Dan Aarons out there. He talked about how he included this one in HVAC as they've been doing pretty well. Let's talk about their numbers here. Their EPS at 54 cents, beating the 50-cent estimate. A nice beat here. Q4 sales at $5.15 billion versus a $5.28 billion estimate. The full year 25 EPS guidance there, 295 to 305 versus a 299 estimate. Also, revenue outlook here looking pretty good. 22.5 to 23 billion versus a 23 billion estimate. Not bad on the guidance. The guidance wasn't the best, but the numbers actually beat there. A miss on the sales, I think, is what's really costing this little pullback. But let's see if we can get back there towards the 72. I think this is one definitely to watch for a little bit of a key reversal right back up. It had some good volume coming in here. I think there's some good bets put on right now in this stock. I'll be watching to see if it can catch a little bit of some support around the weekly support. Of course, weekly support going to be right in this area, and that's where we're hanging out right now. Let's see if we can start to climb out of this towards the 66.45 out the gates. So 66.45 just going to be right over here, recovering that 15-minute candle. Let's see if we get to 67 and start to climb back there towards 72 today. A look at Shopify Go. It doesn't stop, guys, now towards 123.50 and pushing in the pre-market. All right, guys, what's going on out there? It's good to see you guys, and I'm seeing more and more joining in there on X. So do me the favor, guys, if you're joining in on X, hit that retweet, and if you're out there on YouTube watching us, guys, hit that like button, and of course, if you do me the favor, the share button down below. Go share it on X if you have a Twitter. Let's keep it growing here, guys. Let's see what else we got here. Of course, we can take a look at Coke. We can take a look at AutoNation. AutoNation kind of going back and forth there as they got better than expected results. The company reported adjusted earnings of $497 on $7.21 billion in revenue, while the analysts, though, had pulled $4.26 on the EPS and a $6.8 billion on the revenue. So doing really well. I think this just tells me more and more how Carvana could have a good year right now, and it's continuing to stair step higher is Carvana. And then I'd point to, hey, KMX, I've talked about it. Will this one finally get going? There's only one way to find out. Let's see if this can finally base out of here. I mean, I look at the monthly, and I can see it kind of holding in here off the 80. Can it take the 90 and start making the move? I might even take a longer-term position in this. I just feel like it's a really nice position for the year. I like the weekly chart. If it can really get back above here, start to hold, right? It made this a little attempt back higher, undercut it. Now it's trying to hold in here. It looks like the risk would be about 80. So I got to be able to risk about maybe $5 to see if this can get back through the 90 and really start to get going. All right, guys, we'll see what happens there in KMX and some different plays out there. Just keeping in mind some different trends. We got to continue to watch to see what happens in some AI names. They have been getting a little bit hotter. I'd keep an eye out on them. I've been keeping an eye out on plenty of names in the AI space. A lot of conversation. Tempest AI continuing to go on the upside. Palantir now trading at 115, guys. And yesterday got to 118. It's crazy, guys. I have a friend, guys, that has been sending me, and I think it's so funny, guys. He's been sending me, and I've been telling him, I'm like, yo, so when are you taking your profits in Palantir, right? He's like, bro, why take the profits? They just keep going up. So the first text message was like on like Tuesday last week. He's like, I'm up 351% gain on Palantir, and then he's like, I'm like insane, man. You selling? Thursday, 392. just the other day, yesterday, he sends me 431. You can't make this thing up, man. I mean, Palantir just absolutely ripping. And it doesn't look like the sellers or even the guys that got in and have been making a killing. And he's smart, right? He does this house is money thing. You guys probably have heard me talk about it, how he's the type of trader where once he gets 100%, he just keeps it like it's his baby, right? It's an asset to him. Hey, well, Palantir, that's definitely been an asset. When is this going to turn around? I'll tell you one thing. Nobody knows, guys. The only thing that I can tell you is when a market uncertainty comes back, that's when I'll be looking at Palantir. All right, guys, it's about to be 9 a.m. We're about to kick off the show. There's still some more earnings out there that we could talk about. Also, I wanted to talk about Steel Dynamics getting a nice upgrade by KeyBank, the American steel producer, to overweight from sector weight, saying Donald Trump's steel and aluminum duties will boost the stock. That's one of my favorite steel stocks, guys. STLD, Steel Dynamics. We'll see if this one can really keep going. It just did a nice little gap up. I'd be looking for that pullback to 130, but we'll keep an eye out on steel to see what happens there. All right, that's going to do it for that. And of course, I got a special surprise for you guys on the show today. So do me the favor, you guys tuning in right now on X, hit that retweet. We need to see some more retweets out there. Let me see how many we got going here. I'm pushing lately, guys. I need you guys to keep pushing also. Let me see. Did we get some more retweets out there? You guys out there, smash the like. We're going to start the show. We're going to bring on Michael Noss in just a second here. There you go. I'm seeing it out there. Some retweets. Get it going out there, guys. Let's kick things off. Where's that countdown? Michael, where's the ship? You take the ship. You make the money. Let's go do it together, guys. Wants 200, baby. You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at. What's going on out there, traders? Let's bring on my partner in crime, or maybe in money. Let's go. What's going on? How we doing, Michael Noss?
We're doing fantastic. Another day in paradise, another day in this range in the market, I think is the main thing. It's great for us short-term traders. I just couldn't imagine being a long-term guy right now. The boredom that would come place.
So. Oh, the boredom indeed, man. But I think there's one thing that we need to talk about, guys. I think there's one thing that we definitely need to talk about, and that is, of course, none other than kick it up another notch, guys. This might blow your ears a little bit. Yeah. Heads up. Let's go, guys. Celebrating today as we finally did it, team. We got it done. Let's get into it. You guys can see it here. Not bad at all, guys. Guess what? We got it done, guys. We got it done. 1358 from the small account, guys. So the small account challenge, we're gonna call it. Not too bad, man. Was able to achieve it yesterday, guys. Of course, on the trade that you guys saw me open up right here. It was momentous, guys, and you guys saw it right there. It was at 10:55 when I got in. I sold it right there at the 5:57 on the break. Not bad at all. Took the $50. I wanted to make sure I had enough. So that's why I made the $8 extra. I was like, I don't want to run into any fee situation where I just made it, but then the fees bring it down a little bit. So I was like, just make like $5-6 more. Make sure that you get there. Boom, it hit, guys. Celebrating the victory as now I will be rocking my funded account, guys. Dun, dun, dun.
Congratulations, buddy.
Indeed,
congratulations.
Man. Yeah, it's taken a little bit longer than I expected. I think one of the things is, of course, it's not easy to do challenges with a specific goal. You know, I'm more of a trader that likes to trade without trying to hold myself down on goals, right? Yep. Because I feel like, well, when you do that, it just puts too much pressure on you as a trader. I like to look back at my month, of course, and take weekly, monthly analysis on how I'm doing. But that doesn't mean that I need to have a certain amount that I need to make. And I think that that's one thing that I understand. Why? Maybe because I don't rely on all this, trading to be what puts bread on the table, right? There are some traders out there that have a little bit more pressure because of that, right? They need to feed their family on trading. That comes with pressure too. I will say that for those traders out there that, are in that kind of situation, that makes it so much harder on you when it's just supplemental income, something extra, something that you can maybe push yourself forward with. I think that's an important thing to talk about because a lot of traders struggle with making goals. I think because of that, because they just think about too much the pressures that they need to make today, this week, and the month. It's like, holy moly, how many pressures are you going to put on yourself, man?
Yeah, I could not agree more. And I think that's been a lot of my problem when it comes to these challenges and these accounts is that feeling. So, we talk about it all the time. You've got to figure out ways around that pressure. And one thing, right, if you look at the equity curve that you had up there, you could see it was long periods of time of just, right up against that goal, just struggling to get it. And you definitely feel that for sure. You have
guys. I mean, think about it this way, right? All right. So I opened this account there January 21, right? In less than a week, in 3 days, I was at 1,100.
Yeah.
So after that point, what did I do? This is where I think I made the change that was smart, right? So you guys that are fighting in the evals, right? I know it's not easy, right? But I think one of the important things was as I got closer, I didn't go for swings. That's where I can show you guys my other ones, the bigger accounts, right? That I've been struggling with where I get to the profit take was like 3,900 on those. And I kept getting to like 35, 33, 35, 33, 35. And then I'd go for that big swing, that $400, $600 trade. And instead I'd run into like maybe a 750 down day, right? A max loss day, right?
Yeah.
And that can happen, right? And I think it's all about finding the sweet spots, right? And for the evals, it might make sense early on to maybe take some swings, right? Get yourself up a nice little boost and then just ride it. Just ride the wave with some base hits, right? Like Michael always says, sometimes we got to run into the bigger winner, right? And I think that's the important thing too. Keep trading, the way you're doing it, and maybe let that big winner, you catch it, you get one or two of those, and that's what's really going to move your equity curve. And then from there, it's all about managing the down days, right? Like right here, I had a week of straight losing, but it was a week of managed losses, right? Very managed losses. It went from 1,193 down to 1,029. And how did I get back? Just simple base hits. I made here like $50. I made here another $50. And then over here, making like $60, $80, right? And then getting me back to 1,300, higher than I was before. Instead of going for the home run here, I said, you know what? Get myself within $50. If I can't do that, then I don't deserve to get it, man. So
and I think managing these emotions is absolutely everything, right? We talk a lot about strategy. We talk a lot about, this stock's in play, that stock's in play. And you need to know this stuff. And you need to do this stuff. But the mental aspect, and that's one of the reasons why I've kind of shied away from day trading for so long. It's just because it's where my struggle is. It's actually why I systematize everything. Is just, the more I can let the computer go. So, if you're struggling, you're not alone, right? And it's just kind of the way it all works. So have a plan, right? Do what Mitch was doing there and say, okay, I like that. I was actually doing the opposite. I've gotten a handful of counts really, really close. And then I do the opposite where I'm saying, okay, I only need to make 200-300 to get it. Let me take a shot there and see what happens. And the expected thing occurs, which is that's the moment that you end up taking that loss. So I like it. I think I'm actually going to systematize that as well, where I do some sort of a sliding scale where the closer I am to the target, the less money I end up risking. And a lot of that comes with something that I've actually been missing in this journey that I did a little bit of work last night, and I think I might have something to share. I just need to figure out how. So if you're not familiar, this is Notion. So this is organizational software that you can actually play with a little bit for free. So I'm going to share this as I start building it out, and this is my this is going to be where I'm tracking everything that I do within these challenge accounts. So I can highlight every single trade, all the stats for the trade, include pictures with all of them. I'm going to, do this work after we're done streaming every day. And I'm going to share this out with you guys and just see what it is that we can build. So it's pretty pretty robust, and I like the fact that it is free. There's softwares out there that you can do that, but this is going to be what I use to get started. And then, share this with you guys so you can have access to that as well. So that's going to be cool. But, trying to figure out a way to manage emotions, that's one way to do it, is make sure you're journaling absolutely everything.
Definitely, indeed. I love it, guys. And definitely you have to journal, because if not, then how you know what really is your strength or weakness, right? And I think that's very important. Like I mentioned yesterday, throw it into, also once you got that, throw it into a CSV and see what AI thinks, right? I mean, there's plenty of ways to kind of go about it, right? You don't also necessarily need to do the analysis yourself, right? Why not let something that could be maybe objectional or objective take a look into your trading and seeing what you're doing well and what you're not doing well, right? When are you risking too much? Or what's a better risk to reward ratio for you, right? You guys hear me talk about all the time, risk to reward ratio. This is the one thing that I try to focus on the most, right? I think it's the most important thing in trading, guys. And there is a reason why, is that I always try to focus on one thing, and that's the mathematical advantage, right? Because that's all we have as a trader, right? Well, the only thing that we can do a lot of the times is control the mathematical probability to get into the green, right? That's why we have those right there on the screen for you. The success rate and your risk to reward ratio are two of the most important key factors in determining success. And so what I would say is take a look at that, right? Because look at it here, guys. In this account, I was 44% accurate, right? So essentially worse than flipping a coin, right? Yet in the green. This is where I think a lot of traders struggle. They'll have a strategy where they're maybe success rate at 60%, right? But the risk to reward ratio is more like a 1 to 1.5 or 1.7, right? And I think that that's where traders get the struggle, and they get into this kind of battle. Make sure that the math makes sense, right? If the math can make sense in your trading, then at least you're doing things right? Maybe you're not doing it as perfect as a machine would trade if it was trading that strategy, but you're at least sticking to the right risk to reward ratio. And I think that's one of the things that if you're noticing that you go to this page and this is not matching what you're going after, you need to do something to change that, right? Yeah. How can I change my trading so that at least when I'm thinking I'm going after is the actual results that I get? And this tells me something, because, this was a lot of trading even in between here. Mm-hmm. And still that risk to reward ratio stayed high. At one point, this was like 1 to 7, of course, with these big jumps, you're going to get that type of move. But the key is for not to drop below, let's say 1 to 3. You guys always hear me mention 1 to 3. I like that's my sweet spot, 1 to 3. I want to risk $1 and make 3, right? We'll see what happens, guys, on the funded account. And one thing I'll say, it's going to be a little harder now, because I got to switch between the funded account and the eValve. And one of the things with that is I have to kind of sign out and sign back in. So I'm going to work on a way to maybe do that a little bit more efficiently. But I did want to tell you guys about that.
What I've been doing, because I'm actually running 2 accounts now myself. They're both evals, but one for my systematic approach, and then one for the more discretionary approach I'm sharing with you guys. I load up one in the web browser, and then I use one in the downloaded app. So maybe
I agree.
That a shot.
Yeah. I agree. That might be the way that I have to do it. I'll probably do the funded account in the platform, and then do the browser for the other account. Right? That's smart. And what is eValves? We're getting a question in the chat. Well, that's a good question. Evaluations, right? These are all kind of essentially tests for traders to test their consistency, right? Of course, you kind of pay to get a package, right? And the idea here is to get buying power. That's what we're all looking for, right? To be able to trade consistently. So that's what it is. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, watch it grow. I'd take a look into, of course, Trade the Pool. I can put up the website for you, but if you're right there on YouTube, just look in the description. You can click right on it. You can learn a lot more about it. We'll talk about it as you've been seeing already during the show, but it's time to get to some trading action. What's going on out there, Michael? And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's bring in my man, Justy Trades, as he joins us on Tuesday. What's going on, Steve? How we doing?
Hey, good to see you guys.
Hello.
Doing well. And congrats, Mitch. I hear you passed a challenge account there. Nice.
Hey, finally, man. And time to make some money, right? And the fun part, it was on the penny stock account, right? It wasn't even on the other strategies, right? And try to separate the accounts and strategies, because if not, it just gets way too confusing. You don't know a lot of times what you're making on one or the other. Mm-hmm. So, and it also can show you that, right? That sometimes trading a different strategy can have you making money in one account and the other account struggling, right? You can just be like, hey, I'm not doing good in this one. I go and nail it in another one, right? Hey, let's keep it going, guys. Let's take a look into the market. I'll put you up, Michael Noss. How's the heat map looking?
Mixed, as you can see, right? It's a little bit of everything right now. So we're looking to see some kind of resolution today. But right, if we take a look, that's what we're seeing in the market. So it makes sense that we're this mixed. So trying to gather themes, it's more of the same, right? UNG, USO, XLE, DBC, these are all commodities. These are smaller type commodities that are built in America, I think is the important thing. United States Natural Gas Fund, United States Oil. I think this is where money is fleeing to while tariff things are being worked out, because it doesn't matter if he's going to tariff, if he tariffs Chinese steel, there's a whole bunch of tech companies and car companies and every mom pa shop under the sun that could suffer. But United States Oil is just the value of oil in the United States. So this commodity flight is something that we've been talking about now for a long time and continues. So from the strength side of things, I want to continue to look in the commodity space. I am very, very obnoxiously long natural gas, so that's been doing well for me, but there might be some other places under the hood. So XME is one that I wanted to show you guys, which this is a metals and mining ETF. This is a good way to get kind of a basket of everything. So they're going to have copper, they're going to have steel, they're going to have silver, they're going to have gold, they're going to have pretty much everything, right? If you are a miner or you're just the raw metal, it's going to be in this ETF. We've broken the anchored VWAP from the all-time highs. All-time highs here. We've broken above that. We're holding above this. That's a buy signal for me, just saying, okay, it looks like there's some momentum above the average price from people that are buying at the worst possible time. And more of this flight, right? And we can see if we go down here and look at the ones that are kind of down the most, we have WGMI. So there's Bitcoin. We have solar, that's down as well. And China's taking a little bit of a hit today, but it's been up pretty huge recently. So I think that's more of a breather than anything else. ARKK, that's your bellwether for unprofitable kind of garbage check names. We're down 1% on that name. So this seems to be that rotation. The largest wealth destroyer of all time, destroying a little bit more wealth today. I don't think that shocks
Or the omen, as I call her.
Yeah, take the other side of whatever those she's trading, and you're going to be fantastic. But and again, but none of these numbers are huge. That's the big thing I wanted to kind of point out, right? Natural gas up 2%. That's really nothing for natural gas. We come in, it's funny, this natural gas is usually at the top or it's usually at the bottom. It's generally nowhere in the middle. And we're seeing that as well. PSIL still rocking. We had a great interview with the fund manager of PSIL yesterday. Looks like there's some more Senate confirmation stuff going on there today. So that might be an interesting sector to keep an eye on. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of built in America type things going on. That's just people flying to safety. When it comes to the overall market, I just think we have to point out how range bound we are, just to temper expectations of anything wild happening today. Now, we are in the environment. Anything wild can happen with a simple tweet. But we are still within Friday's range. We're still inside Friday's range, which is inside the last, if I zoom out here to a weekly chart, which is in last week's range, right? And then if I zoom out to a monthly chart, then we're inside last month's range. So we are stuck in a range. So at some point, there's going to be some giant news to shake this up. When I was looking more at what potentially could do it, I went to, again, one of my favorite websites, Forex Factory. We talked about Jay Powell speaking. And then I noticed this one pop up with a tentative of Trump speaking today. So it means we don't really know when, which is always fun and interesting. So keep an eye out there, because if that happens when you're in the middle of a trade, that could definitely shake things up. I do think a lot of the world too is waiting tomorrow, where we have CPI, inflation print. So we'll talk about that, I'm sure, a little bit tomorrow, why that's so important. But essentially it's the Fed is only supposed to care about two things, and it's inflation and jobs. So one of those numbers is coming out tomorrow, midweek. So a lot of people might be waiting for that. So we're waiting for one of these numbers to kick the market in one direction or another and break us out of that range. Until then, I don't think there's going to be a lot of large institutions making bets. So what does that mean? Does that mean you don't trade? No, it just means you adjust your expectations. If you're someone out there who's looking for a multiple point gain in a certain security, maybe you temper that a little bit. And you say, okay, maybe I can get 50 cents if I'm looking for 5 points. Maybe I can get, a couple bucks if I was looking for a couple $100, right? Just temper your expectations based off what you expect in the market. At some point, I guarantee you, we will break this range. We have no idea when. We're going to talk a little bit later today about some volatility and ways to measure it and ways to trade it. Which I'm super excited for, because it's something I love to do. I'm actually building a scan here as well for that. But until then, just kind of chill out. So I'm going to be doing the same thing that I do every day, and I'm going to be looking for these fades on these large moves. But if I do anything in the market, it's going to be more of a buy support, sell resistance, rinse and repeat type of thing.
All right, guys, setting up here in the background. I'm doing what you said, man. I'm trying the web browser out here, and it's good to test something out, right? At least for me, it's moving just as good, right? I mean, the way that I compare this is I'm looking at the ping, right? And so compared to the platform, the ping on the website is at 46 milliseconds, and on the platform itself, it's actually right now like at 42 or 52. So it's kind of moving back and forth right now. But that just tells me more and more, hey, it works just as fast, right? So,
yeah, and I've been doing that because, as you guys know, I have been testing this kind of pure hands-off systematic approach where I send out 10 orders off the open and then walk away. And then I'm also testing this AVWAP break type strategy, and I'm going to start recording that again in this Notion and sharing every day with you guys what I've done there. And while I'm testing different theories, I just bought 2 of those mini accounts and said, okay, I'm going to test different mini accounts with different strategies, like Mitch was saying, just to stop so I don't mix them up and I don't mess them up. So I have one on the web browser, and then I've got one on the downloaded version, and it allows me just to switch back and forth between them. Because I don't know if you noticed, yesterday I discovered this yesterday when I was trying to do both at the same time, and I was all flabbergasted yesterday trying to speak, because as you know, Mitch, trying to talk to you guys and trade at the same time, I'm an old man, and it takes a lot of the little bit of brain power that I've got left kicking around.
oh, you old man, no worries. We'll handle it. We'll guide. We got you.
Gray in that beard, right? It's every day I come on with you, it gets a little bit more gray. So I'm going to blame you. I usually blame the kids.
Like fine wine, baby. Like fine wine. That's what I say. Like fine wine. What's going on, Steve? How we doing out there in the trading space? Let's go take a look at some of the stocks that you're watching, man.
Let's see. Today I don't have like a crazy variety of things I'm watching. I'm pretty focused on kind of the best setups that I'm seeing for my trading system. So for right now, I'm really into chips. I think that we're seeing some interesting stuff in the market. Actually, like mid long term, I'm much more bullish software than chips. Michael, I know you're big on ratio charts, and the ratio chart of IGV over
what are you doing?
SOX, SOX, for example, is really showing a lot of potential on the monthly for flipping that trend that's been going for like 8 years or so. So that's something I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Did I give you the wrong tickers there? I'm sorry.
So X.
Yeah, the sector is really interesting to me. The software as a service for the midterm. I'm really liking names like some cybersecurity names like Sentinel are looking really, really good to me. But I think that there's a lot of opportunities in chips too that I'm seeing even more like immediate term in names like NVIDIA is the obvious one for that gap fill. got a lot of potential to fill up to 140 this week. MU is another with some really nice room above. And then I was even seeing flow on weekly Soxel calls. So that's kind of a sign when I see clusters of those calls along with the NVIDIA and the AMD type stuff. I think the whole sector wants to go up. We'll see if that's a reality or just wishful thinking, but I'm definitely bullish in position for that.
Yeah, so this is I did it with ETFs, but this is kind of the chart here where, for those who don't know, ratio charts, big CMT nerd thing, but the idea is that sometimes, as opposed to comparing your asset to the US dollar, which is what you're doing when you bring up Apple or something like that, it's good to compare your asset to a competing asset or complementary asset or something like this and see, hey, is what I'm looking at, is it outperforming the market? Generally, people will compare things to the SPY or something. But what Steve was talking about here is, what if we compare software to semis? And I've heard the fundamental rationale for this as well, where the next evolution of AI, now that everyone knows how much power it's going to take, what kind of chips it's going to use, all that, we should start to see benefit from software providers more than anything. It should be, XYZ company is saving money on developers and is able to use AI more. So you can see if this line goes down, semiconductors is outperforming software, which is what's been happening for years and years and years. And then just recently, in the end of 2024 and now into 2025, we're starting to see that revert a little bit. So now software is starting to pick up when it comes to semiconductors. So I really like this chart. So thank you for bringing. I'm a big nerd when it comes to this stuff. So I like. I certainly like that chart. I like ratio charts because I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what's going on there. So if we're going to see that increase in movement in software, that's interesting. So any individual names inside this software ratio that you like?
Let me share my screen here and I'll tell you what I'm looking at. Sorry, I got a cat roaming the desk here. That's a little...
Cat's taking over, man.
There we go. All right. And I will present.
Need the temptation treats. No, those like cat
right,
crack,
so
man.
Let me know if that's working there.
I'll get you up right now, my friend. There you are.
All right. ESTC is one of my favorites. I'm really liking the look of this chart. The weekly looks very constructive to me. So first thing is we've got the big range. We are testing this 50%, the equilibrium of that range. We're testing it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Usually when you get these 4 knock levels on a big meaningful level, that'll often be when it kind of pops through. One of my favorite traders who I can't remember the name. He does the Tao of Trading. He has a really great book, but he's really big on those 4 knocks. 3 is a gift, 4 is 3 is the rule, 4 is a gift. So with this 4th knock, I'm really curious about. On the weekly level, we are also major downtrend here. We've got a nice inverted head and shoulders playing out. This is all off the 200 weekly. I'm seeing a lot of confluence of bullish support and reasons to push this thing higher. So yeah, I took a starter position, but I'm looking for volume through here to really get the break and add into this. That's what I'm watching and keeping an eye on time. We've got 3 minutes still open. A couple more that are really interesting to me are Confluent. This one's really pretty. Let me clean this up a little bit on the weekly. You can see basically we're just trying to break this consolidation over the break of this downtrend line. So a lot of room on this one too. One more, just in the interest of time. This one is a little bit more speculative. It is a Brazilian tech name. Maybe I'm getting this mixed up with another. But regardless, it's a small cap name, but it's showing a lot of incentive to break out. So these are a few I'm watching. One more for you, Sentinel One. It's looking very compelling for this gap fill up here. So those are kind of the software as a service names I'm watching. Besides that, just looking for NVIDIA. And the last thing I want to mention is Steel. Steel's looking very exciting to me, and X in particular. It's getting a lot of flow after that. After Trump did his whole thing with Japan and that investment talk they had. So those are the themes I'm watching today.
All right, guys, we'll see what happens today with the big bad wolf, Jerome Powell.
Yeah, he is on at, I just want to get the exact time
10 a.m. Eastern with some nice prepared remarks. And I wanted to talk about with you guys Was that why the market was coming down this morning?
Maybe. I think the Trump tentative thing that popped up could be a little bit more interesting, because if he has prepared remarks, we know in a lot of cases what these things are going to be. They're going to be, we are data dependent and waiting for the blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We know whatever Trump's going to say, it's probably not prepared. It's probably not going to be nice and calm. So I think the market is going to probably pay a little bit more attention there, and I wouldn't be shocked if he does it at the same time, just to take the limelight. I don't think that would surprise anyone. So I think I'm going to keep my eyes on the streets, as you call them, on the Twitters, just to see when he pops on. I think that's something that we'll announce to everybody in real time, because I think that's going to be super important whenever he decides to start his yapping.
Yeah, I might bring the audio in just so I can make fun of him a little bit while it's going on. Just have some fun with it at least. We'll see if it actually moves the market, right? I think that's the important thing. We'll be all watching to see if we can if it makes a market move. And another thing to think about is, will the market move until then, right? I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a battle here.
That's what I was going to say too. I think the market will probably not do anything until then.
Sorry to interrupt, but I don't usually do this, but I did take a traded open on NVIDIA here. It broke.
Whoa!
Key level. Just saying, not saying chase, not saying follow, but this is an M I'm watching, and it got the look I was looking for right out of the gate.
Yeah, there was some volume that came in there, guys. 3 million shares right out the gates there for NVIDIA, and ding, 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 ding. There we go, guys. Let's get after it, traders out there. You guys make your money. Do what you got to do. Like always, stay smart out there. The bell is going. Let's go get that money, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll let you lead here, man. What did you see in this setup? Are you continuing to look for NVIDIA to continue to climb today?
I'm getting stopped out right now, I think.
That's just how it goes, right? I mean, it's just a nice little pullback there. We'll see if it's able to hold the 132 pullback there. Looking around, see what I can trade, guys.
I've just sent out all of my orders for my that account, and now I'm just waiting for the alerts to come through on the more discretionary one, and we'll see what's going on there. Because
I like Google here. Google coming back out the gates there.
Oh, that was a fast trade, guys. I'm out.
Tesla down she goes. Down goes Elon, down to 343, guys. We've been talking about the downturn potentially going to 300 since pretty much Friday of the 7th. It's been only about like 4 days since then, and it's already down about 9%, Tesla. So not a bad outlook there on that breakdown. We had it by green and red lines here. It broke the red, came back for that nice little test on it, and then chapow right back down. And what I'm looking for is the 200 EMA coming into play, right? And that's right at 299.16. So that's what I was seeing, right? A nice base at the 50, broke it. Well, next move down, 200 is what I see. 300 more likely for me on Tesla than 400 here.
Yeah, so I've got the SPY up here like I normally do, right? Just mark the pre-market high, mark the pre-market low, right? This is one idea that I always just, I want to know where the market is. I want to know where it is relative pre-market high, pre-market low, and we are as in the middle as we can. So waiting for something to develop. First 2-minute candle was up, so a little bit of an opening drive right off the bat there. And now we just got to see kind of what's happening after that. So we had a nice little right opening range break, but we're still in the middle of the range. Do the same thing with the Qs. And the Qs, we are pushing up a little bit more.
Sorry, I'm still watching NVIDIA. I stopped out break even. I'm tempted to get back in, to be completely honest, but I'm going to wait for the proper setup here now that we've got a little bit of a range. I'm curious, what do you let me let this formulate while I watch here. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry for interrupting.
No. So yeah, again, just watching this opening print. I've got no alerts from anything I'm super interested in yet. So just watching. I've got my 10 orders sent out on the other account, but nothing's filling there. So the Qs, again, we're grinding this pre-market high. Nice. It's very much outperforming the S&P 500, which is very interesting too, because what was mentioned with Tesla selling off, to have the Qs doing so well in the face of it, because Tesla's a large component to that. You would think, right? You'd think there'd be some sort of correlation there, but.
Well, one thing that I've been noticing that's really interesting with just Tesla's reaction to the market as a whole. Nice bid here, by the way. I've been trying to trade RK on the breakout, and it just won't give it to me.
Long LiPo funded account, baby. Let's get after it. Let's go.
First trade.
What I'm noticing is that when Palantir's ripping, it's really hard for Tesla to. It feels like they're kind of that there's kind of some algorithmic basketing action where it's like they're not ready to move the whole sector. So if this one's up, then the liquidity has to kind of get sucked out of somewhere else. Nvidia does look like it's going for it now. Way she goes. I'm also watching X, which popped up to 39 out of the gate, and is coming back a little. If it holds 39, I might be a buyer.
Mitch is over there.
Focus, guys. Looking for this LiPo. This is on the 30-minute support there, right? And so that's what I'm trying to catch here. Risking off the 430s here. Needs to get back above the 450s and make a nice move. I just went with 100 shares to be nice and safe on the first trade, right? Worst of risk right now is about $26, maybe 27 at the bottom, 30 at the bottom there. So let's see if this can kind of hold the 430 cut down and get right back above the 450s here. I'll show you guys it on the 1 minute here. You guys can see it right there. LiPo's trying to recover there, and I saw a couple of names kind of rip up and get into a halt. It has a nice little 30-minute pullback from the pre-market here. Let's see if it can get re-hot here and start making a move back and above this high, this 459.
Nvidia's going for it here. It looks like it's out the gates now, out that high of the morning. Or AMD also as well. Looks like it wants to go for the 112 handle. Keep an eye on chips here. They're looking very strong. I would like to see X hold here too, because I think there's potential for a nice move to 40 plus there.
You guys are trading all your exciting stuff. I'm being the boring guy. I'm shorting.
Oh, you tell us what's going on out there, man. That's all it is.
Coca-Cola. So this is again the same idea. Gapped up on earnings, held above VWAP pretty much the entire pre-market, sold off, closed under VWAP. So I'm short from right about here on this kind of discretionary account. Targeting 2-day VWAP, I'll probably actually put this a little bit above $65. If we can get there, that would obviously be fantastic. I'm not certainly expecting a move that big on something like Coca-Cola, but that's the trade setup. So that's kind of what I got to take. So that's the only thing that has come through that has kind of had any interest in me. And again, these are set and forget kind of trades. The game plan is to manage my crummy emotions when it comes to trading, is to develop a strategy like this, where I enter the trade, put up my stop loss, put up my profit target, close it at the end of the day, see what happens between those. When it comes to the heat map, more red. We're seeing more red than green. The green we are seeing is coming to a lot of the tech names that are popping up, but still a lot of when it comes to, well, PSIL is just, this has always been on the list for like the last 3 weeks. UNG doing very well. Again, a lot of this commodity type names. So we want to pay attention there when it comes to these commodities to see things like Bitcoin, or it's actually moving up the list and getting a little bit more green. And we have the Qs finally are
got hit out there in LiPo.
Highs. The S&P 500.
$27.
Yeah, so the S&P 500 is failing at that pre-market high for now. We got to see what's happening there. Is that going to be, we broke by a couple ticks and now we're pulling back. So we got to see what's happening, see if that ends up holding. I'm looking at SMH because Steve was mentioning semiconductors. Yeah, same kind of opening drive, but still below yesterday's range. So we have to take a little breath there and see, are we going to get to this pre-market high? Oh, nice little pop up there. Or are we going to end up failing there?
If chips are telling me anything, it's that there's still juice in this market to push the tech names. So let's see if we can get a nice ATR move up to, on Nvidia. I'd like to see, we could get as far up as 138, 139 today. I'd like to see at least 136.
All right, trying to get after Google here, guys, in the eValve account here. Let's see if I can grab some here below 188.
DD actually just came through the list here. Just watching this one for a second.
Grab a little bit of Google.
Another one, right? Gapped up on earnings, held above VWAP for a while. Looks like it may be fading on that. So I'm looking to see. One thing I've added to the strategy after getting stopped out on a couple wicks, I just want to see it kind of battle here for a few minutes and allow some chance of, okay, is this thing actually going to fall or not? So I'm just watching the chart pretty closely. This is where if I was a tape reader or something, I'd probably take a look at that, but just keeping an eye on this. If we don't reclaim VWAP pretty quickly, I'm going to look to take a short there on DuPont. Again, another boring boomer stock.
Someone's got to trade him. I appreciate it. It's you and not me.
So it's a lot easier when you're setting them and walking away, I think.
True.
That's one name that's on the radar for me on the playlist. DJT to the downside. I did a nice little bull trap out the gates. I'm looking at potentially shorting that. I am long on Google here at the 188. I grabbed on the eval account, guys. I'll have to kind of switch over screens. I'm going to set something up so I can show you guys this a little easier. I'm long at 187.99, 100 shares.
Yeah, I did end up shorting that DuPont, the DD. So we'll see what's happening with that. Nothing else going through the list.
Sorry to interrupt there. I am seeing a little bit of top wick in action on NVIDIA, and I'm seeing a little bit. Oh, X is going. I'm going to grab a piece of X if I can.
All right. Little piece of X.
A little piece of X. I wanted to give it to me. See if it will.
X going to give it to you. He's going to give it to you.
Yeah, it is cooking.
First we're going to stop, then we're going to drop.
Mitch knows.
Don't let it go. Nah, they didn't like the halftime show, bro.
Wasn't for you.
It wasn't for him, bro. It wasn't for them. You didn't know the culture, bro.
They're not like us. It's okay.
They're not like us, bro. They're not like us.
There was such an interesting bifurcation of my feed. You either loved it or was like, dude, where is Leonard Skinner?
It showed me more and more, bro. It showed me more and more how people just play the comparison game, man. Don't play the comparison game, man. If you see people enjoying it, man, let them have fun too.
Ain't that the truth, Mitch? So on NVIDIA, I'm seeing some top wicks. I just don't know exactly where it's going. So since I was talking about the trade, if it was a scalp here and I was in, I'd probably take it here and just let it kind of cook. It doesn't look bad, but I just, the scalping out of the gates can reverse on you so fast.
Oh, that's for sure.
Well, the SPY is hit that pre-market high, come back, dug in a little bit, so we might be taking another little shot here. So it'll be interesting to see again if the market ends up pushing a little bit higher. Palantir did end up coming through the scan, but not interested in that one just yet, because this is what I'm talking about. So it popped through, right? Broke through VWAP, didn't close below VWAP. So two bottoming tails right at VWAP. So I'm not interested in that one. Again, something like this, I'd want to see it not only break, but I probably want to see it break this low here at 117. Again, the idea is we're looking for trapped people. And I look at this and say, well, we're above the whole pre-market range here. So no one's really trapped here, right? No one's really worried about their Palantir position because we're still above the whole pre-market high. So it's something, again, I'm just going to stand back and watch and see if we end up breaking kind of sharply. Maybe I'll chase that down. Again, for these, the stop goes pretty much at the high of the day. But one thing I do like about this is just how crazy this thing is on the daily chart. Let's get rid of that. That's just
Sopa Society Pass, making a nice little rip off there towards 389, guys. Wasn't able to catch this one, but good little rocket there.
Yeah, other than that, just going back to the dashboard, everything's still kind of red. SPY is consolidating right under these lows. We got JPOW in 15. Maybe we take a little breather here under pre-market lows until he either comes and saves us or destroys us, whichever one he's feeling that day.
Interesting one. Mobileye, of course, yesterday's news kind of giving it a decent day, not a crazy day, but and Lyft, guys, I made money, lost money in Lyft yesterday, back and forth, and then finally at the end it made a little bit of a lift. Haha, pun intended. But Mobileye trying to recover right now off the support on that 18, just $18 recovery. I'm looking at maybe playing just below 18 here on a pullback.
Did end up pulling the trigger on this one yesterday. Bought some Mobileye near the close. It had pulled back, so it wasn't too crazy. We talked about this one with the Bollinger Band squeeze, which is something we're gonna go in a little bit more detail today because a lot of people were interested in that. Little teaser, little foreshadowing, I guess, as they call it in the biz. But just a nice looking chart, nice breakout yesterday, high volume, high range. So I bought a little bit just right at the close, stopped just below this base. It's like $15. So I'm in around 18 with a stop at 15. So I just got to ask myself, do I think if Mobileye goes, I can get more than $3 a share? And just looking at this chart, absolutely. Even if we just bounce into this range, that's pretty big.
Hey Steve, can you do me a favor? I think I'm getting a little bit of some mic feedback or some audio noise in your background. If you want to just take a look at it really quickly, make sure that it's all set on the right one. If not, then just maybe kind of hop in and out on the mic. All right, guys, looking at it here, just added to Google here, guys, now into the green here, about to look for the rip here. I'm going to go for it here, guys. I'm adding here, guys. I'm long here. I got 400 shares of Google, pretty good amount here, 187.74 here, guys. So taking a shot here on the Googster. Let's see what happens here. I'm up a decent amount right now, nothing crazy. Of course, the ads are kind of weighing in on this, but now looking for the recovery of 188. It could recover 188. I could see the takeout of the 189 here. Let's see what happens. Back down towards the 187.50s. It's kind of like the pull or refill level. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, everything's still chilling. Everything's still basing. The SPY is trying again for the third time now to break that pre-market high and backing off again from it. Again, for the degens, the powers that be, might just be saying, okay, let me wait now. We only got 15 minutes till JPOW. Let's see. But if we can get back through that pre-market high, I think that's going to be important. It's just wild to see how much these levels become interesting. Right? I just marked this up on the open, came right to it, bled through by a couple ticks, slammed back down, hit it again. So far, we're reversing from it as well. So we just need to see that decisive action. I think it's an algorithm game. I think there's a lot of things that just say, let's stay out of the market till we're above the pre-market high or below the pre-market low, and then kind of start trading from there. But we're just chilling for now, coming back a little bit off that. And then we, take that and we take a look at the Qs, and the Qs pop through that level. So it's basing a little bit above. Qs are a little bit harder with the pre-market range just because it's one of those, might be one of those things that I just go to. Using the CFD is sometimes a better move because it's often a little bit more liquid than the underlying security. Futures would be the ticket, but I'm not paying $1 million for their data. Yeah, so no, same thing, same tick. Right above that, that's the highlight this right here. So that's your pre-market high on not that one. Right here on the NASDAQ. So yeah, we are holding above that. So NASDAQ is outperforming. The SP 500 is underperforming. IWM, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to know it's probably underperforming as well. Poor small caps. Someday will be the small caps day. It just hasn't been for years now, which is unfortunate because I'm one that I like, not micro caps and not like super low floats, but small caps can be fun. So I'm rooting for them to do something, but years now, no small cap.
A healthy small cap market is also it just gives you so many trading opportunities across the board, really widens up breadth. So I got my fingers crossed too, but man, the amount of time.
Hey, Tempest AI, guys, Tempest AI mentioned a little bit of how that was holding well. It just made a big rip, guys. It's going up on my scanner here. That's more momentum. Like I always say, if I bring up a $76 stock on this scanner, yeah, it's moving, guys. 76.85 on an open of 67.17.
So a full disclosure on this one. This is another one I am very long. This was actually alerted. I think I started to pay attention to it here because this was a Nancy Pelosi stock. And then what I noticed is as this thing was rallying, so I'm long from around 56, 57 on this one. And the reason for that is you can see I didn't even load this up because I had this chart right here. So this bottom chart is the short float. And you can see as this thing has been rallying, they've been getting more and more and more short. It went from a 10% short float at lows here to now a 22% short float at highs. So they're getting short. And the beauty of that is we are getting very close to all-time highs in this name. So for those who don't know, this was the Nancy Pelosi name. That's what got it on my radar. Then it consolidated for a number of days. So when it broke that consolidation, I got pretty heavily involved there. So I'm certainly rooting for you on this one, because it's also going to help me out. Because if we break a new all-time high, then the one thing we know for sure is every short in the world is incredibly underwater. So they've got two choices. You either come in and try to defend heavily your position, or you get the heck out of the way. And what we hope is obviously that they get the heck out of the way. So this is a really good looking overall chart on this one. So I hope this thing goes to like 100. That'd be fantastic, but I'm certainly not betting on that. Yeah, so the all-time high, we're sitting right here around $79, and so we're not far from that, considering we opened today at 66 and have just been ripping since that open. So $79 doesn't seem like it's too far away for this particular name.
Looks like we're getting our first potential downside test here. Still not seeing much bear action, but just keeping it on my radar. I did get long X at 39.12 about 5 minutes ago.
Go.
I think I was muted when I mentioned it. Sorry, but yeah, I think that one's basing for a push up here.
That's interesting. It's a wild candle. That must have been a tariff related.
Yeah, it's a spicy tariff candle for sure. I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I think it's bullish, but I'm gonna wait and see. And then today, it's to me, it's acting right. I like this drift up action. So watching it.
Certainly a good look on that one. Okay, so yeah, my KO is doing nothing, my DD is doing nothing, and so I'm just kind of hanging out here, short both positions while the market is trying to drift a little bit higher. So I don't expect anything to be happening. But again, this is the line from the pre-market high. We are just basing below that, trying for attempt number 3 now. So 1, 2, and we'll see what happens if we end up doing well there. And we've got the VWAP right below us, right? We're bouncing against the VWAP on the SPY versus that. So that's going to be the do or die moment, whether we end up breaking the highs here or the lows here. But again, just we'll figure this out a little bit. I'll play with this Notion template that I downloaded a little bit later, and then see if I can figure out a way tomorrow to come in and share this with you guys. But yeah, we're trying here. And then the Qs we'll take a look at. Same kind of thing. Everyone's hanging out. Waiting for the old JPOW guy. Should I bring up the stream here?
Yeah, we can bring it up. I was going to share it. If you want, you can do it. Just share audio from it.
Oh, I don't think I can. I think I have this blocked. Oh, it doesn't share my audio. So you guys don't have to listen to me cranking System of a Down all day long. So you're welcome for that.
I wouldn't mind. That sounds like a party.
Yeah, what's going on in the ears to keep me energized with 2 kids that alternate waking me up in the middle of the night. I swear to God, they've got a schedule. I said, okay, let's wake up.
Dude, I got twins. I know all about the schedule and the low.
Yeah. They're like, okay, you wake them up, and then when he gets you back to sleep, I'll tap on you, and then you can get them and just
like the psychologist says, deal with the instigator first.
What do you do when they're both the instigator? That's the real problem.
That's the key, man. It's like, do you know how this is? Do you know how this works?
There is no good one. They're both the bad one.
It just depends on what time of night.
Yeah. Let's see what's happening here with
a continued mover, QNTM, keeping a very close eye on that name, right? It's slowed down. It's sideways, right? We talked about it yesterday, but it did break a nice little trend line approach right back above 13. Just looking to see if it gets going today or not.
That daily chart does look nice, just coiling right here. Had a nice gap down on Friday, and then it's just been basing here. This is one, again, if you missed our chat yesterday, I think it's probably going to be uploaded as a separate video to the channel. We interviewed the PSIL and MSOS portfolio manager, and he was talking a lot about some of these different names and how he finds them. I was very interested on how he rebalances them. So it was really, really cool chat. I'm always getting into the nitty gritty nerd stuff personally.
Looking at Citus Space Thaidu. Taking a look at it right now. Looked like it's trying to break 3 here. Only problem is not enough volume really to get it back to where it needs to go. It needs to get into like the gap with 4 and 5, but it's still a little early in the trend here. The only thing that helps it is the MACD crossover. So I'm sure some traders are watching it, but not enough volume really to get this thing going right now. LFWD giving me a little bit of a scanner alert there. That one's getting in lift off of the $2 spot here. I'd like to see a reload around 218, a quick pull back into that area. That's the only way I can play it. We'll see what happens with it.
Jerome Powell testifies. Let's try that. I typed in J Powell live. That wasn't the move. Oh, there we go.
I can find it. I'll bring it up. I got you guys.
Well, I don't even know if the stream might be able to see. I just want to see when he comes on. Like, I'm not going to watch everything he says or listen because I'm hanging out with you guys, but I just want to see when he pops on because I think that's going to be more important. So just want to show you guys a trade that I missed. Again, this came through the alerts. You can see right here, ACLS. This is the kind of thing that I'm looking for. So let's try to find this as a group just to see if I'm on to something here. Sold off in the morning, gap down. First of all, check 1. Sold off in the morning, check 2. Spent most of the morning under VWAP, check 3. This is the big break before above VWAP, and you can see the candle that happened right here. So we're looking for a continued move higher, and that's kind of exactly what happened. So this is textbook what I'm after with this particular setup, because again, your risk reward here becomes super nice, and that's all I really care about. If I can get a couple good risk reward trades, that ends up being around 1.5 to 1. So the way I look at, I'm not even sharing my screen. Sorry, guys. So this ACLS, right? Gap down, and then spends most of the morning under VWAP, breaks through VWAP pretty substantially right here. And you can see it's about a 1.5 to 1 risk reward. If I end up putting my stop loss at the low of the day, if I go, this is more of what I'm testing to see if I can just stop right under these candles and how often that'll get hit. That's a 3 to 1 risk reward. So the idea is, right, can I find 2 or 3 of these a day, set them, forget them, just for reference, right? That's what's happening here with Coca-Cola. So I took the Coca-Cola trade right here. That's the long setup. Can I flip that? No. Let's just invert that. So green is the stop and red is the target for this, whatever. Right, so that's the idea. So I'm looking to short as this thing spends most of its time above VWAP, and the idea is people are getting trapped, and then as it breaks through VWAP, that's where I want to get involved. And then again, we're targeting the 2-day VWAP. So ends up being a 2 to 1 risk reward there. So the question is, with these 1.5 to 2 to 1 risk reward type plays, if I think over the long run these setups are going to give me a 50-50 win rate, then all I have to do is size myself correctly, which is my biggest problem, I think, when it comes to trading, is oversizing, trading too big. So we'll see how that ends up going there. So as JPOW, got this stream that I'm just switching before, nothing on there yet. I'm on. Yeah, so nothing starting just yet. He's got 3 minutes to be on. Let's just do a little bit of a round trip, take a look at the markets, take a look at the SPY, pop into the 2-minute chart. Again, just fighting against that pre-market high and failing so far. If we break down VWAP, do we come down and test the pre-market low down here? That'd be about 602 even. And then take a look at the S&P 5, or take a look at the dashboard. More red is creeping up as things are going on. We have UNG doing okay. A lot of these commodities are doing fine, and everything else looks a little bit interesting. Someone mentioning BBAI blowing up.
That's a good one to watch, man. That's a good one to watch. I was looking for some AI names. AI overall looking good too. So with Tempest moving, you could get other AI names to move. Good mention there, guys. And just showed up on the scanner.
One great name that's really moving for AI is Note. NOTE. That one is cooking for me in my shares board. I don't know what it's doing today. I'm assuming up, but it just went for the breakout.
Yeah, just looking like it's breaking out of this from yesterday's kind of high right there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I like the 9 break on BBAI.
It's one of those SPACs.
It has hit the 9 like 2 or 3 times, so just be careful with the one more attempt back down here to the 9. VRAX, another one showing up on the scanner. I keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, everyone's trading these crazy AI names. I'm short DuPont. And Coca-Cola. So there we go.
At close to recovery there on Google. It came right back up there, guys, and then came right back down. So it's been trading in the green for me and in the red here, kind of going back and forth, looking to see if I can get this 5-minute pattern to start going higher. On the 15-minute, still holding really well. It just needs to get back up above the 188. I think it's going to depend on the big bad wolf, Jerome Powell.
Yeah, I've got the stream up here. Still nothing. They're still waiting for him to pop in. Seems like a punctual guy. I think he'll be
all right. Bullfrog AI, the next AI stock that's starting to get the leap right now. We'll see if that one actually wants to keep pushing, but I see it moving.
Look at that. Woo.
BF.
That's spicy.
BFRG.
BFRG.
This is what I mean by leader to laggard style trading, guys. This is the algorithms coming in there. I like the 9 EMA recovery there at the 67. So that'd be the risk right now. If I wanted to take this, I'd look at a scalp at the 67. Doesn't look too bad because it has the momentum. Just needs to take that 380 and get to 4. Daily chart doesn't look bad. It was up at 435 yesterday. 10 million shares traded yesterday too, so. I'm waiting because Jerome Powell's coming on, guys. So I'm hanging out for right now.
He's going to come on and he's going to say, I don't think AI is real. Tank all the AI stocks. Just wait.
No, he comes on, his eye twitches, and it turns out Jerome is a robot.
Oh, he is an AI.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine?
Still.
Can you imagine the world? That was real.
All right, now he's technically 1 minute late, so my whole punctuality thing's
Biden, he's taking a nap, guys. He'll be back in a second.
So I've got a hearing semi-annual monetary policy report to Congress. Coverage begins momentarily. This is why I became a technician. That whole sentence right there. I couldn't imagine being a macroeconomist and having to listen to these guys yammer. There's people out there, especially if you start, that's their job. It's just to listen to these guys. So
Mobileye, interesting here, guys. On the 18 recovery, went to almost 1850. Could get right back up there. It's an interesting setup there. I don't know what do you think, Michael?
Again, my bias. I am long Mobileye. I bought some just right at the end of the day there.
Morning. Here comes Powell, guys.
Oh, yeah, I see it. And he's sitting down.
All right, hold on 1 second here, guys. I'm going to reshare with my
first words I'm going to say.
Audio.
Bearish. Sell everything.
All right, now if you put my screen up here, guys, if you take mine down, the audio will get off. But you guys hear that, right?
Of millions of Americans.
Yep.
That is why the
I'm going to put it up here.
Supposed to be an independent institution free from politics.
Do you know how long this is going to be?
Reality.
This is going to take forever, guys. So I'm not going to keep it all on.
Take, for example, the Fed's involvement in the network for greening the financial system.
But
a group dedicated to green financing and climate change, which the Fed joined in December 2020 as President Biden was about to assume office. Just last month, the Fed announced that it had pulled out of the organization as President Trump was getting ready to be sworn in.
Dun, dun, dun.
To the American people, this is flip-flopping in the political wind.
Let's go, Google.
Too much focus on climate change instead of supervision is consequential.
I'm full buying power in on Google, guys.
We saw the failure of Silicon Valley Bank. SVB marked the third largest failure in U.S. history.
I'm watching X trying to catch. My starter got popped down.
Single federal regulator was held to account.
SPY ripped out of its range with when he sat down, and then the other guy started talking, and we sold off a little bit.
He went to him first.
Get the other guy.
Everyone's like, Jerome, speak already, bro.
Supervisor.
Yeah, he hasn't talked for 2 seconds. Short the market, guys.
With 30 MRAs and MRIAs,
I'm in the green here in Google, guys. I can get a pop to 188. I'll hold break even here.
Who are supposed to be our cops on the beat have not faced any recourse.
What is he talking about? This is the Congress that we have, the Senate that we have, guys.
I'd just maybe even mute
what
him.
The hell is he talking about?
That over the last 4 years, the Biden administration devastated, decimated, and destroyed.
This is called taking your power and abusing it, guys. This is what this is called. It has nothing to do with what he's talking about right now. We're here to talk about the economy and things like that, and he's just there like talking about something completely else.
But that's not all. Thanks to Bidenomics.
Oh, Bidenomics.
Of Americans have less than $1,000. Less than $1,000.
All right, SPY is reversing.
That is not because of Biden, man. If you only have $1,000 in your savings account, man, that's not because of Biden, dude.
President Trump.
Yeah, I think people forgot who was in power during COVID the first time. But
yeah, no, but even then, even if you try to if you're one of those people, I blame the government for all my excuses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more your work relationship that you might need to fix. If you only have $1,000 in your savings account, right? You need to maybe address that situation.
A little less Uber Eats, but the market does not like this guy at all. They want him off the screen.
Here you guys see it right on the web browser here, guys. I'm bringing it in screen here, guys. It's just kind of floating around for me here. This is where it gets tough for me, I'll be honest. Whenever I get in these situations where the stock is just floating around, essentially. I'm going green, I'm going red. I'm going green, I'm going red. I'm going green, I'm going red. Jerome,
go back at VWAP and see if there's any support. That's pretty sketchy.
Yeah, man. It's a tough one. I think they might try to shake us before they bake us, man. Got to be careful out here, guys.
Consequences for legal businesses and law-abiding citizens. On one hand, if you were in the private sector and you do your job.
SPY coming down here, guys. VIX starting to get a little jump there, guys. Jumping.
They don't like this guy. I don't like this guy at all. The second they saw
God, stop talking, dude.
They're like, we want to hear from the boss man. We want to hear from the interest rate dudes.
For your actions, even if you pressure a bank to cut off services to digital asset firms, political figures.
Why are we talking about digital asset firms? Cutting off banking.
The principles of fairness and market access.
All right, guys.
Over the last 2 years,
I'm going to set a stop here for Google in a second.
Consistently argued that Basel III endgame proposal will raise costs and limit credit access for hardworking Americans. And while I'm glad this proposal was not
market's on the pause, you can tell because the choppy action right now, and a lot of times, what is the market going to do in these moments? They're going to try to shake you, right? And that's why you got to know your sizing right now, right? Because if you're too big, that can easily hurt you in moments like this. Like even myself, I'm at the point where I'm feeling it. That's why I'm talking about the up and down action, right? So if you're feeling this, you got to understand that you're not alone in that camp right now, right? So a lot of traders, what they do in these situations, if they haven't made their money or if they're near break even, sometimes it makes sense just to go back to neutral and wait to see what happens. But you guys make the call.
Because the people who are, and this is why, even though I'm not listening to what the guy says, why I've got it up is because I know that there's been nothing consequential said that would cause this market action, right? The SPY is, sold off, broke VWAP. It's moving down to lows of the day. But just by looking at this and saying, well, J-Pow hasn't said a single word yet, right? This other guy has just been lecturing the entire time. I know that this is something that I can this action, not ignore, but I know that this isn't driven by anything that J-Pow said. This is just because the market's just shaking up. So what we have to pay attention to is all of the algos that we talk about that are programmed. if JPOW says higher for longer, there's going to be an algo that's going to short the market, right? If there's certain phrases that are going to be programmed into these systems that say things like, okay, if he talks about a resilient market or something, it's going to do this. Right? So we're looking for these kind of key phrases that could create key movements, not because that's what people do, but I know, as someone who worked in the hedge fund space for so long, there are systems and all they do is they're programmed for keywords that JPOW says, they're programmed for keywords that Trump will say, and they just take action. And kind of like we were talking about today, when TEM started to break out, there were so many AI plays that were moving. It's because these systems they're programmed to say, okay, AI is moving. The AI is the theme. Let's just buy all the AI stocks, and they're trading in this basket manner as opposed to trying to pick individual names. Is how you'll see most hedge funds and institutions do, because they can do that. Well, why try to take a bet on one AI when you can just take a bet on all the AIs, right?
Really quick, I got my first pings on my short-dated flow scanner today, and they are on AMD and I believe Bluebird. Let me double check that. AMD and BABA, actually. So momentum names are they're looking to send this. I don't know if we are yet, but it's definitely a bullish sign when we get a nice candle up off of VWAP and people are risk on. At least that small partition of the market is. So we'll see how that plays out.
It's funny now that whoever this is on now, that other guy went off.
Senator Warren.
She's
taking her shot.
Market turned around and popped a bit. So again,
they're still playing with people too, right? I mean, you saw the pop and you saw probably a quick little drop right here. Yeah. So I think that's the hardest part right now. You got to wait.
Payments go through, from Social Security checks to grants for community health centers. No one has verified how they got this access or what they are doing.
Dude, what are you talking about? No one wants to talk about what Trump is getting access to right now. Jerome Powell is coming on, and we want to know about interest rates.
That's all we care about.
Dude,
like everyone shut up and just say, okay, are you lowering?
This is why I love the British politics. This is why I love the British politics, guys. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but right now I could just stand up and be like, rubbish! Rubbish!
Well, same up here.
Rubbish!
Our parliamentary stuff, right?
Oh, I haven't seen that, man. I got to take a look. Or did it get as loud as the British guys get? Because, I mean, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it over there. Just get loud and yell to the other side.
And snotty. They get real snotty with each other. They get
dude. It's kind of interesting, guys. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this in the chat. Definitely smash the like if you guys are enjoying at least the conversation while the markets are on pause moment. But definitely, one thing I would tell you guys is, man, it's just crazy to think that our government works one way and then such governments work differently. I like the whole open speaking, like you get to bring a speaker on, he gives a point and the other person speaks, they give a point, and it's kind of an actual back and forth. Not this, I take my time, no one can talk, and I get to just blab out what I want to talk about and then just hit the second button and then you can't speak back. No, you're not allowed to speak back to me. I'm going to pass it to the next person to grill you some.
Yeah, it's more argumentative, and it's based more on like how lawyers will work in a courtroom and that type of thing, where it is supposed to be combative. Like what we call our parties, there's the party in power, and then the other one is just called the opposition, right? Because it knows that their job is to oppose you in every way they can. And it's kind of like how lawyers, you have the defense and then you have the prosecution. It's meant to be an antagonistic type system. So sometimes they get really, really personal and really, really catty, and then those moments blow up everywhere and it just becomes hilarious. But SPY again undercut and then went back through VWAP, challenging the pre-market high, and now we're selling again. So this is all, it's good to show you guys this, I think, and good to talk with this, because this is all just games while we're waiting for the only one that we care about, the only one the market cares about to speak. Right? Everyone's grandstanding right now, and they're making whatever political points they want, and no one cares, right? We want to know what the guy who controls the interest rates is going to do with interest rates, because that affects every part of the overall market. And yeah, the rest of this is just a game. So until he starts speaking, I think you're going to see this kind of back and forth, this choppy, gross action. And when he starts talking, then I think things are going to get a little bit more interesting. There certainly will be more games. Just the question is, at what point are they done? At least for now. Nothing has come through my scanner recently, just because, right, there's really nothing going on.
All right, guys, looking for a little dip here in AIFF. Guys, this is a penny stock. I'm looking to see if I can get this near 480s here on the dip. Let's see if I can get it. Pretty much a strategy where it's a throwback look here on this, and it has a nice volume. Looking for the resistance to come back into the 480s, so create a support there. You can see there was already some bets made right there at the 87s. I want to see them get washed a little bit, maybe 77s, and then a recovery there. But 5 looks interesting here on AIFF. Got to 538s just a little while ago.
Yeah, my boring boomer stocks are doing boring boomer stock things, where I think Coca-Cola hasn't moved. None of these things have really moved too much. So I'm on pause with the market, I guess is the best way to put it. So we'll see what happens with these. Nothing's coming through the scanners, but again,
finally she passed, guys. She passed. Oh, she passed it back to Mr. Scott.
Sell the market.
Man.
They don't like this guy. Short
dude.
Everything.
They don't like him at all, man. Oh, he's gonna speak.
Other members of the committee, I appreciate the opportunity to present the Federal Reserve's semi-annual monetary policy report. The Federal Reserve remains squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit of the American people. The economy is strong overall and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years. Labor market conditions have cooled from their formerly overheated state and remain solid. Inflation has moved much closer to our 2% longer run goal, though it remains somewhat elevated. We are attentive to the risks on both sides of our mandate. I will review the current economic situation before turning to monetary policy.
I averaged down there in Google, guys. Averaged down to 175.
That's what that beat was. I'm like, look at
TTP rose 2.5.
Like, did I get stopped out somewhere? Because I can.
I got you guys.
Bolstered by resilient consumer
spending. So I'll show you guys this on the right-hand side here with Powell here.
In the fourth quarter, but was solid.
So I just took some off there, right? I'll tell you guys how it is. What am I doing? I'm down risking. It's coming back to break even. Just in case I get it to sweep down, right?
Conditions remain solid and appear to have stabilized. Payroll job gains averaged 189,000 per month over the past 4 months. Following earlier increases, the unemployment rate has been steady now since the middle of last year, and at 4% in January remains low. Nominal wage growth has eased over the past year, and the jobs to workers gap
hard to play the penny stock play right now, guys.
Overall,
I want to take
wide
it
set
off
of
5 there, but
suggests that conditions in the labor market are broadly in balance. The labor market is not a source of significant inflationary pressures.
Just to kind of bring it in,
the strong labor market conditions
right
in
off
recent
of 5
years
there,
have helped narrow long-standing disparities in employment and earnings across demographic groups.
Dip down, try to wash them.
Inflation has eased significantly over the past 2 years, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-term goal. PCE prices rose 2.6% over the 12 months ending in December, and excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.8%. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households.
Set there, $44 is the
as
risk.
Well as measures from financial
See if it starts to get back up above 88, I'll add.
Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices.
It's quietly cooking high a day like this.
Yeah,
this drift up is really interesting. I don't know.
The lower
mobilized recovery there
point from its peak.
Grinding higher.
Or enhanced capabilities.
Forget you, Wisdom Tree.
Oh, they gotcha. They got you with the ads.
I used to pay for this just to avoid this, but I don't pay for it anymore, guys. Got to make some more money. I'm looking at Mobileye, guys, and it's hard for me not to go long on it, right? But it's just taking it in the penny stock account. It's kind of hard for me, right? Because this is not a penny stock, right? Like, I want to take it right there at 1790s, but so I could take it in this account. This I could. It just looks like a nice little setup back to 1840s. You know, you wash them, you got them scared, you got a couple wicks there. Now I could recover 18, get back to the high.
Could unduly weaken economic activity and employment.
If I saw lifting, I would feel a little better on it.
Adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate. The FOMC will
got more AMD calls coming in on the scanner. Interesting. That one's showing a lot of relative strength today, even in the chip space.
We will adjust our policy stance in a manner that best promotes our maximum employment.
Best promotes maximum employment.
The economy remains strong and inflation does not continue to move sustainably toward 2%. We can maintain policy restraint for longer. The labor market.
That's not a good thing.
Than anticipated.
But let's watch the market here.
We are attentive to the risks on both sides of our dual mandate, and policy is well positioned to deal with the risks and uncertainties that we face.
Okay, he gave 3 scenarios there, all that he can control it,
of our
essentially.
Monetary policy strategy, tools, and communications. The framework used to pursue our congressionally mandated assigned goals of maximum employment and stable prices. The focus of this
one interesting name for me is MO, Altria, tobacco stock. They tried to break out yesterday. They got bought today, but they are catching at my support level here. So I'm keeping an eye on that. That's a different,
2% longer run.
Definitely an option to play if we do go risk off here. And the strength in it
will include
overall is a little bit worrying, I gotta say.
Parties, including Fed Listens events around the country and a research conference in May. We will take on board. Lessons.
Yeah, the SPY still
and adapt.
Still on pause. I kind of, to be honest, I kind of assumed when he said that restrictive word that there'd be some shorting going on, but so far we're just still kind of chilling out here.
I mean, the big thing I think there is that the way that he went about it there, he gave 3 scenarios, all that he could control the situation, essentially. So that's one thing he said. It's like, so like if inflation were to rise, they could cut. They could figure out how to keep the interest rates higher. If for any reason there was a drop in the jobs numbers, they could cut rates, right? If inflation got closer to 2%, they could cut rates. So he gave 3 scenarios, all 3 he can control. That's what he's pretty much saying.
Responsibility of leading this country in the right direction economically, and I think
I'd love to see some volume on this bounce up. This is anemic still.
All of us about how you do that.
Yeah, at this point, I'm tightening wrists. I either need to see a quick pop up. If it's pop down, I got to avoid the downside risk here.
Have more opportunities to succeed, not fewer.
So just tightening my risk here. Now only 27. Looking for a pop to 88 to add, and then go break even.
Are perfectly able to serve crypto customers as long as they understand and can manage the risks. Yet you have admitted that
there it is, guys.
Threshold
nice
has been
pop,
a little higher for
levels.
banks engaging
Let's see if it takes to 188.
Last week I held a hearing.
He's going to crypto again, guys. He's going to stuff that has nothing to do with it.
Particular the Fed. Use reputational risk as
if he's talking crypto, maybe MSTR, maybe we just look at Bitcoin as a whole.
Law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, watch Bitcoin itself. There's that pop to 188 almost, guys. I'm about to add it back in here.
Certainly is for me, and one that I believe is a bipartisan issue.
Just needs to get to 188.
Will you commit to working with this committee to end debanking, including working with the new vice chair of supervision, once appointed, to revise the Federal Reserve supervision manuals to remove reputational risk as a tool to weigh in on political topics?
I'm happy to make that commitment.
Thank you, sir. Accountability is very important. I would like to think accountability is a priority for everyone.
Market's rising, looking good here, guys. I'm ready to go for the ad.
Can result in the loss of billions of dollars. Yet following the failure of the Silicon Valley Bank, which was
back to that pre-market high.
Regulators
and we're knocking through it now.
Interest
we are
rate
through the pre-market high.
We have yet to see any regulators be held accountable. And
Bitcoin not really moving.
Point of my frustration, as a guy who's spent a lot of time in the private sector, 15 years running a few businesses, I can tell you that accountability
comes at 188, guys. I'm already added back in 375 shares here at Google. About to drop the stop loss break even above the 188.
I'm encouraged that the FDIC has begun the process of holding SVB executives
accountable. 188. Let's go. Let's go.
But no Fed employee
has
been fired, put on probation, put on performance improvement plan, all of which would be expected in the private sector, as I just mentioned.
There we go.
Employee failure. Please explain to me why Fed employees.
Where's the next volume at, guys?
Standard from my perspective.
Not convincing me yet.
And what are you planning to do?
Not convincing at all here, guys.
Fed failures in supervision.
So we've actually done quite a lot in response to the events associated with Silicon Valley Bank. So we've done many things. In terms of specific accountability, what we found was this was not a case of
market's dragging, but VIX's not jumping here, guys. So I'm still saying positive right now.
Carrying out a specific.
Yeah, I need higher highs on the indices. They're already giving out here, and they're not able to secure a higher high.
It wasn't actually.
Yeah, here comes the scare. I think
you violated our practices.
I'm gonna risk here about 15 bucks, guys. Keep it tight here. I'd rather get cut out and then look for it to come back up here.
And controls and not enough focus on basic bread and butter.
25 here, guys. Nothing, pretty much.
Interest rate risk, things like that.
Needed to start moving in the right direction above the 188.
We took very substantial steps to avoid further spread of those issues, and that was successful. But I understand your point.
Lift off. Come on, get towards the 188.
Areas where you see the approach to looking at safety and soundness, and with the number of
canceling my stop here, guys, so I don't show my hand as I'm back in the green.
Documented, but no action was taken.
Now back into the 90s, looking good. In a second, I can do break even again.
Employees, supervisors.
Watching NVIDIA here for a push.
Yeah, that's a great stock to watch for a push.
I'll move on, though. In the past, you've supported tailoring regulations so that
good action there, guys. Good action on that first pop. I'm already setting break even and looking to go trading elsewhere.
Will you commit to working with me as chairman to make sure that financial regulation?
Still to short Coca-Cola. I got stopped out of my DuPont. We're a little bit of a loser. Just short Coca-Cola. It's grinding lower.
Continue to stress that.
Intel, one name that was on my radar this morning, been doing really well all morning, guys. All morning. So it's on the radar. This is a daily chart that I could see the bottoming all day. I can have a tendency of catching these bottoming candles. Why? 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts, guys. The rule of 3, and then reversal. Like you talked about earlier, Steve, about the 4. So when you get this attempt, if it doesn't wash them, it usually reverses all these bears. And so now it's putting the pressure on those bears. They're getting squeezed, and now you can look back to see if you can get to the highs over here on the daily, right? This is a swing type of alert stock that I would look at. I'm at 21. I'd like to see half of the action come back.
The ranking member, I'll say this.
Right, so 2050, and I'd go for the swing.
One thing to know with Intel this week, I believe Trump might be talking to. There might be some public talks with Taiwan, and I'm not sure how that will play out. But there could be some either a pair trade or some dispersion between TSM and Intel, just in terms of where that money's going.
We should do our part.
Where those investments are headed. Just something to keep in mind for those. But yeah, I definitely see what you're seeing on Intel.
Over the weekend, cup action. President Musk and acting director vote effectively shut down CFTC.
Shook me. Now I want to see if they can take the 188 here on Google.
Family of 4 in South Carolina facing an illegal foreclosure.
See, hands on the trigger. This is what I mean by hands on the trigger. When it turns dark blue here, the bot says
bank account has just been taken.
That's hand on the trigger. Literally, let it go.
No more cop on the beat looking out for people getting ripped off by giant credit card companies.
She mentioned President Musk there. So
it also means that the CFPB is no longer doing one of its
flinging the garbage still.
Examining big banks to root out illegal conduct before it happens, or at least stop it before more people get hurt. Chair Powell, if the CFPB isn't on the job right now, then who is administering JP Morgan or Wells
Nobody
Fargo's
is.
consumer
That is a
compliance
new
exams
move.
to ensure that they
Forget
are
all-
following the law?
No one cares.
Senator, I believe.
Wait, we're following laws here? I thought we can bribe people now.
No, because Trump, that's the
authority.
I
whole
don't
thing,
get it.
guys.
Can't keep up.
Examinations.
Laws
in the
hold
consumer
back
space
growth.
to the CFPB. We
Here
still
goes,
have some
guys.
jurisdictions.
188
We'll talk about
coming
that in a
for it.
sec,
Let's
but
see if we can get the
the
pop
answer
now.
to my question, please. If the CFPB is not there examining
Market's
these
going
giant
strong
banks
here, guys.
to make sure they are
Grind-
following the
grinding-
laws or not
grinding higher. Yeah.
feeding consumers, who is doing that job?
I can say
There we
Climb the
go.
wall of Warren. Go.
No. In other
There we
words.
go. Now,
So
there we
thanks to
go. Nice
Co-President
pop there,
Musk and the
guys. Let's
CFPB
go. Let's
acting director
go.
vote,
AMD
Wall
is
Street
very
banks
strong.
no
400
longer have
shares
to
on
show the
Google
bank
now.
examiners that they're
Let's
not
Buy
get it,
close
guys.
to
illegally
closing the
opening
gap.
accounts
It's
people didn't
well
ask
through that
for,
pre-market
like
range
I
now,
gotta
getting
lower
very,
it.
very close to.
and charging illegal junk fees.
Yeah,
like
she's not saying anything important. She's talking about law stuff. But yeah, the SPY closing the gap, get close to closing the gap, trying to. We'll see if there's some resistance that takes place there. Whenever we have our Bollinger Band chat, there's a perfect example that just happened there on the SPY, so we can highlight that. Yeah, other than that, we're pushing up, so we're through that range. I like that my Coca-Cola is not pushing up with the market, probably because it's considered more of a defensive asset, so it might actually perform better if the market was being a little bit more choppy, a little bit more wild. But again, it's the only trade, so that so far one loser in DuPont and then one winner in Coca-Cola. So you guys will see some of that when it comes to this this Notion template, which I'm excited to fill out once the day is done. It's going to just be part of my nighttime routine going forward. I scan through about 150 ETFs and then I'll just pop all the trades into that. It's also, I think, going to motivate me to take less trades, because if I have to fill out every one in super great detail, it's going to make it stop my over trading, hopefully.
And AIFF eventually broke the 5, going to 550s, then down on the down haul real quick. So be careful out there, guys. It's wicked right now. Yoshi taking the lift again. Hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo. Yoshi. I should just do like a little like Twitter account where I just take the fun names of the penny stocks and you just like create like characters around it.
I think there's a market for that. I'd subscribe.
There is a market for that. Like this, I'll tell you right now, if I just started putting this on Reddit, like this is not Yoshida this is Yoshi.
Straight up, brother. Straight up.
I
As soon as
can't.
they hit the highs, you hear the Yoshi sound. Oh man, they would love it. They would love it.
I can't repeat most of them here, but at the prop firm, no company was ever called by its actual name. They were all given quite often dirty or offensive nicknames. Just consistently.
Google working, guys, working, and this is one that I think could work all day long. So I'm trying to hold on here, guys. Trying to hold on. I was able to get out, get back in. Things that I've tried to practice often. BBAI now looking a lot interesting here for the smaller account, guys.
One thing I'm watching for my setup, I don't want to change off screens to push the crazy lady.
I'm going for it, guys. BBAI.
FLNC. Actually, I'll take over the screen for just a second while this lady's chatting.
Go for it, my friend.
Who cares about her? We'll go back.
Senator
So
Warren.
this is the exact setup that, again, I'm looking for. Daily, massive gap down, and then has spent pretty much the entire day under VWAP. Right here, we've got right up to VWAP, and then we're bouncing off it, and we're basing under it. So if we get a breakthrough VWAP on this one, I'm going to take this one long. So that's around 7.15, targeting about $1, and then stop loss is going to be about 50 cents. So that's perfectly what I want to see on this FLNC. So we'll see. I'm going to continue to watch it. If it does this by the time 11 your guys' time hits, then I'll end up taking that trade. But that's the idea, is that if we break through VWAP, do we see some short covering rally of everyone who's short this name, everyone who shorted off the open, starting to lose money? Just, again, get a little pop into that buck there. So that's the idea. So you might end up seeing that one on the account as well. While I have this, I'll just take a look at the S&P 500 here. This was, again, you could put a bunch of nerdy technicians in a room and they'll argue what a gap fill is, right? Some will say the lows, some will say the close. I just kind of look at this little candle there, and we came right up to that, and we're just fighting back and forth when it comes to that low. So still not a super exciting day one way or the other, but we definitely broke the pre-market range. We're above that now, so I think you have to kind of favor the bulls as opposed to the bears on pretty much anything that you do until there's some move kind of one way or the other.
Yeah, as usual, vote for the good guys, right? Until you have a reason. Yeah. But one thing I'd like to say just about the the nitpickiness or the particularness of certain traders' styles, in terms of the gap fill, for example, like what constitutes a real gap fill. What I think is really important, and this is also something I see a lot, like, do I draw my trend lines to wicks? Do I draw my trend lines to bodies of candles? The most important thing, in my opinion, is to kind of understand what you're actually talking about. Like, for example, wicks versus bodies. The wicks represent the kind of retail, chasey, wild, speculative action on a stock, and then the bodies represent more institutional investment. So in that same way, I'll treat gaps and imbalances in the tape the same way. Like, I know that there's an incentive to bring it down to this general area. It doesn't have to transact to the cent. There can be some wiggle room, but just the important part is I know why it wants to transact lower, in my opinion, at least.
Draw your trend lines with a crayon, not a pencil. That's what I was always taught, just to say that, hey, these are areas. These are not. Yeah. That's Luis Yamada, who's one of the godmothers of technical analysis. That was her saying, and I just loved it. It's just, again, these are areas. You're just drawing with a thick crayon as opposed to a really precise pencil. And the other thing is that if your strategy completely falls apart with one and makes $1 zillion with the other, it's not what we call a robust strategy. It's just not something that really matters that much. So
okay, interesting. No, that really resonated with me. I'm a big crayon eater, so that's that's what I'm all about. Yeah, man. We are getting a nice little push out of the base on X. It looks like it tried to push higher, failed 3 times, dumped pretty significantly, but only dumped right to the open. So basically backfilled the gap up, and now it is pushing off of that. So that kind of validates my theory that I think that steel is still on the uptrend here with the tariff news.
All right, guys, set us a break even for Google here. I'll look to see if it keeps going higher. I don't even want it back at VWAP. I just want it taken off here. The reason why it's also beaten down, so I needed to start really showing relative strength. BBAI, guys, 15-minute setup here, 30-minute setup, and then a 1-minute pattern also. That's what I've been trying to do lately with these smaller ones, right? So the 30-minute setup is a nice pullback on the longer time frame, right? The 15-minute setup looked good. MACDs both cross. Now I need to see the 1-minute cross. That's the thing that's holding it back right now. So I got in a little bit earlier than that cross. I'm looking to see if I can get that as kind of confirmation that we're getting the momentum right now. Just got hit on that Google, guys, break even. It's back at 188. I could get back in it, and once it starts to come back through 188, I see 187.50 potential pullback. So I'm trying to hold off. BBAI back down at the support here, looking for it to catch some buyers and get back through the 890 in a fast pattern. So trend line approach, right? Can we get back to the trend line approach and break that? All right, let's hear what Jerome has to say now. See if he's giving anything good here.
Probably not.
Upstream before it gets to the Fed. All of these decisions are made about, is this an appropriate order? Is this payee on the don't pay list and all those things? Once all of that is set, it comes to the Fed, and by that I mean 4 or so of the reserve banks, and we actually make the payment. We take the money out of the Treasury General account and we make the payment. We make no judgments whatsoever. Those are all made upstream from us. We are, in fact, the fiscal agent.
The fiscal agent.
Confirm for me.
I always feel so bad for this guy because, right, he doesn't spend the money. He's kind of just an errand boy. The only power that they have is
just the face to yell at, man. Let's be honest. He's the face to yell at.
Yeah, the Congress spends the money and tells him where to write the check, and then he writes the check, and they go after him for it. It's like, well, you told me to do it. I kind of have to by law. Leave me alone, guys. But
this candle looks questionable. Hope we wake up.
Nobody's been fired.
Eldon bringing in a swing idea here, guys, on Snapchat with an entry around 1070. How about you check out this trade if you can, Michael? Let us know what you think about it.
Let's go here. Let's grab a snap. We'll interrupt J.
I'm gonna focus in here, guys. Try to nail a trade here.
Oh well, it's funny because I didn't draw this line. This line was just here, so
it was just there, bro.
It was just there. So at some point, I drew this line. I like the idea. You're just playing support, right? You got a really basic support zone. Again, it's weak. It's relatively weak. It's a really choppy name. Snapchat hasn't gone anywhere since 2022. So it's really kind of about your goals, where if you're looking for this thing to rip, it's not, doesn't look like it's that kind of trader. It just doesn't do anything for forever. It's talking 3 years with nothing. However, if you're just buying support, selling resistance, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I always say, as long as you know where you're getting out and you have the liquidity to get out, go nuts. So yeah, I like the idea. Target 1170, that's up in this range. That's good. Now might be one of those where if we end up ever getting through 1270, maybe this thing takes a little bit of a move. It's got other resistance up at 17, but yeah, depending on your hold time, I like it. I like the very obvious support, and that's the thing, is if you've got to really squint your eyes to see what support and resistance, you're probably doing it wrong. But yeah, just a nice little support play. So it's all going to dovetail on the market. I think if the market bounces, then you'll probably get a bounce off this support. And if it undercuts, then you might get a little bit of a stop run. So just be careful of that, right? The big guys coming out and seeing that, knowing that there's probably a lot of stop losses below this support. So you might end up getting one of those stop and wicks. So just pay attention to that. Doesn't mean you don't stop out. It means you stop out and then maybe look to get back in if it bounces. But nice looking little chart.
The residual amount of that.
All right, guys. He's talking more about something I think that's important. He's talking about Dodd-Frank and what it did and what it didn't do. So they're pushing him on banking regulation.
When you two were working together,
so it might be good down. Say XLF.
Supervising those large banks, correct?
Yes, we still retain supervision over all the holding companies and also of.
I'm watching VIX into 16 here.
And
hopefully it's breaking down, but it might be doing a kicker candle. It started red and now it is pushing green on VIX off of that 16.
SPY's pushing.
Not for money.
That would be the consumer protection. That would be CFPB.
Yes.
Yeah, we're pushing up here for sure on the SPY.
Okay, yeah, we just lost the 16 handle on VIX, it looks like. So as long as that sticks, I'm on board for this move.
What would the Fed
leading the action? I'm watching right now on the sectors, guys, the utilities in the last 10 minutes. But it's only very little, all unchanged pretty much in the last 10 minutes. I'm going to keep a close eye on that. I'll let you guys know if there's something that starts to lead. Right now, basic materials pushing.
Mitch, one more thing to note with that tick up in Utes. Altria is also pushing a little bit here. That's sus for me because that's another very risk-off type play. So something to consider there.
Morris
tick is
starting to come back, yeah.
Like the CFPB does, correct?
Unless you're a
Google hanging out there at the 188, guys.
That has 10 billion or less.
SPY pushing, but the one thing that I tell you guys is look at the cues where we're at in the pre-market. We're right where we flushed down from in the pre-market, so we could reject here back to the VWAP.
What we're hearing in enforcement out there, and particularly
it's been
AI. This is make it or break it now.
Would you say that's true?
Like it's been a strong day, but it's been like a grindy strong day, right? Where it's, if you look at the individual candles, it's up a bit and then spike down, up a bit. So we are moving higher, but yeah, it's a grind higher for sure.
The thing that worries me about this type of price action, especially when there is a magnet above, like we were talking about that gap, it's like, okay, we're just grinding. Yeah, we have a mission, but once we get there, it feels like there's a lot of potential to flush. So that's something that I hope we don't see, but it's definitely on my list of worries, so to speak.
From many of us on our side of the aisle here.
Can I just very briefly add that we do have some residual enforcement authorities, but
all right, BBAI, let's see what you got, BBAI. I know all those AI players out there probably watching this. Let's see if Money Mitch can get another one here. And like always, one thing I always think about is I don't need to win every time, right? Even if I lose on this one, the key is getting into the right plays. I think this is exactly the right play. Sometimes it's about giving yourself a pat on the back, just about that. We don't know what the results are going to be, but we got to get into the right plays, right? And this was what? 30-minute approach. You guys heard me mention it yesterday. Pull back on that. 15-minute. And then looking for the 1 minute to cross over. Now it's crossed, right? So now I got all the variables in play, essentially. This tells me conviction. Now what I like to do is stay on the 15-minute chart. Just need to see this candle stay green or open the next candle green also. So we'll see what happens here. It's 10:43, about to get a new candle in 2 minutes.
Trying to see when Trump is going to speak, but I don't. Forex Factory still doesn't have an update there. It still says tentative, just refreshing a couple times. So at some point today, just because we're getting, we got about 15 minutes or so left here. Again, just know that at some point there's another talk that's going to happen. And that talk is probably, in my opinion, going to be a little more consequential than what we're seeing here. This seems like just a bit of a yelling match back and forth with a bunch of nerds. But yeah, whenever Trump comes on and ends up speaking, I think that's going to be the one that matters just a little bit more. So, make sure you're paying attention to that. My Coca-Cola is just still flopping around. I was up okay on it for a second there. I should have taken some off the table, but trying to leave these things just to give them a little bit of wiggle room, see if there can be a move there.
All right, guys, just added on the funded account here, guys. 200 shares at 891. Now looking for the 9 break. Can I get it? Can I get it now? Now the key is just to understand the risk. 880s. I'm just risking about 10 cents here. 200 shares. Nothing crazy, right? Now let's see if I can get the real momentum to break 9 and start going.
It seems to me that
the real boy account, right? You got the butterflies.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You get the butterflies immediately. I mean, I think it was on the first trade, and I think I did well in just staying small on the first trade. I went 100 shares. I'll tell you guys, I don't even want to go over 300 share size on this account. It's going to be between 100 to 200 to 300 shares, depending on the quality or how I'm doing on the day, right? So we'll see what happens here in the green. Now just looking for the pop, the real pop.
Does anybody have exact gap fill levels here? I'm on my shorter time frame charts.
Exact gap fill.
Oh wait, no, they already filled. Okay, never mind. I'm crazy. I'm crazy.
604. Oh, the close 604.79.
Yeah, sorry, not even a true gap. Just looking for that mitigation action. Okay, so that makes me feel a lot better that we're pushing up after that. It's been kind of unclasped, so to speak. Although NVIDIA, not a great candle.
So we can just wait. We'll continue to grind higher. Trump will come out at lunch when everyone's sleeping and just cram the market back down. So
I don't like it, but I think you're right.
Someone's asking what I use most for a swing strategy. So again, I'm a systematic trader, so I have a lot of strategies back tested. A lot of my favorite swing trading strategies are simple pullback strategies. So you're looking for something that had some sort of igniting action, so a gap up or a large candle or something that got the market interested, got some news going, and then you're trying to buy a retracement into that. I'd say that is my overall favorite. Prior support becoming resistance. If there's kind of one thing that I could do over and over again, that would be it. And actually, this is going to be a weird example, so we'll just ignore this symbol entirely of what this is. But this is actually a trade I've taken recently, so we'll just look at the chart. And we'll ignore that this is Fartcoin for a little while and just pretend this is an actual security.
The blue chip.
But this basic setup, right? You had a clear area of resistance, a big push out of that area of resistance, and then a retracement to it. Just very, very simple. The reason that I think this works so well is that everybody who's shorted against that zone, they're seeing their account finally, after being red for a long time, getting back to green. Anybody who had a fundamental analysis thesis of that they wanted to buy this breakout and missed it, they're defending that area as well now. If you had a fundamental thesis on this particular security, you're insane. But just again, pretend this is a stock. But this is I took this trade, so I own this, as embarrassing as that is a CMT with working for hedge funds and all that.
Michael, you're an investor. What can you say? You're an investor.
It is what it is. But yes, this type of setup is something that I really, really look for. Or something that is what else I took yesterday, TPR. I took this one yesterday. Again, these are from the systems that I have and I've back tested. So, I have the data going back 30 years on these. There was this TPR had earnings on Friday, right? Gapped up pretty well, and then it's pulling back. Some indicators on shorter term basis are starting to get oversold, but I know that whatever happened here, the market really liked. I don't need to be a fundamental analysis to know that that was a good thing. And now that it's coming back into that zone and looking to buy there, if it fills the gap, it's time to go. And then looking for a new high. So yeah, when it comes to swing trading, that's the main way that I just look at it, is look for something that was very interesting to the overall market that happened, and then just look for a pullback into the move, and don't really try to overcomplicate it too much further than that.
All right, guys, need to start the recovery here. I did see some bulls get shaken on that recent pullback. Really got to hold here off the 80s here. If it's okay to do wicks, but remember, wicks are tricks and tricks are for kids, guys. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I think as long as this guy's chatting, you're going to get a lot of this stuff. You're going to get a lot of... Now the SPY is continuing its march. It's about to break a base, about to get to the upper Bollinger Band and break a base from yesterday. So the SPY has been very, very strong through all this. But I think it's one of those things that the market's kind of a little bit... It's grinding higher because he hasn't said anything scary yet, right? But he could,
I highly doubt he's going to say anything that will affect the markets here. And I think that that's the hardest part of this trade here, is that it's a stair-step grind higher versus what all the bulls are watching. They're watching their money move right now, and they're not getting big gains. They're expecting big gains. That's where it leaves the worry of a little bit of a rug pull, right? Because of that, right? I have a feeling that you have tons of people looking at their gains right now, and they are up long, but they're up small amounts, not what they expect to be up.
Yeah, when you have that small grind higher, you're not getting any bases, you're not getting any pullbacks of interest. It's kind of like if you own something great, try to hold it. If you don't own anything, not really much you could do, right? You're just watching the thing grind higher, and you just have to be kind of okay with that. So
yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of an environment where, like you're saying, there's no real constructive structure on these moves up, so they can easily flush back and kind of repaint that tape and get some more volume building up and better structure. So I don't know, it's kind of like a lockout rally for me at this point. Either, like you said, either you're in or you're not, and if you are trying to play long, it should probably be you should be sizing correctly. So for me, that would be defining risk with options or taking it in the trading accounts, right? As opposed to getting too crazy with it on a day like today.
All right, looking a lot better here in BBAI, man. What's the book map out there saying, my friend?
That's a good question. I haven't been watching too much. Let me take a peek.
Oh, you're my book map, guys, man. There we go, guys. There we're above nines now, looking a lot better here. And now it's more, does the momentum come in? What's going to tell me that? Volume in on the 1 minute. At this point, I look at that 9 EMA as the stop out area, right? It's 890. I'm at that 890 right now. So just looking for it to continue here. Let's go.
We got a nice breakout on NVIDIA cooking here, it looks like. It's pushing out of a nice flag here, and this candle's actually holding as opposed to this morning when it tried to test this level, and it just puked it right back. So that feels pretty nice. I got to say, I like that. How are we feeling about the 605, though? You think that's enough of a sell pressure level for SPY?
Yeah, that's where I see the cues coming back to yesterday's range, and a lot of times we can reject off of that range, right? So we go back to the other range and we reject off of it. That's where I'm a little concerned of. I'm sure you guys can see that on the cues. I could draw that up, but
I mean, I just see the grind up and then I see the big round number, right? So it's like, okay, shoot, if we're grinding up to something, maybe it's this. I don't know. Maybe it's not. But, that's something to keep an eye out with 530 approaching on cues too. These big psychological levels. That being said, VIX cannot find a single bid, which is great because bears shouldn't win. But,
You're up $30, Mitch. Take your payout.
A lot of selling here, guys. We just blew through a seller there, guys. That's why we're reloading a little bit. You see this right here? This guy right here, 904. He got squeezed there. 16,000 shares, 23,000 shares, 18,000 shares, guys. That's important to catch. The bigger orders. Forget the smaller ones. Look for those bigger orders that tell me what's going on. So to me, he got stopped out there. So he was short BBAI, now getting stopped out. Now I'm looking for it to hold 9 on pullback. So hold 9 on pullback reload, now take off. At this point, we're looking for the takeoff, right? This is what I call the ticking time bomb in these types of trades. You also need to have that because small caps need to be kind of the trade that rewards you in a fast manner. So you got to have the time that it should kind of come into play. We have the 15-minute chart looking good, right? Flaggy, right? So that's still working good. The deeper time frames will keep you long in these names. The 1 minutes will scare you out like no other. So that's why I'm watching the 15-minute. I got the question just a second ago. Why are you looking at the 15-minute? Because it controls my emotions. And the bigger traders, what do they use? 15-minute charts and hourly charts. You can ask Michael himself. He's been on the New York Stock Exchange. He's seen the charts out there. As a technical analyst, what do you do when you're on the New York Stock Exchange? You look at other people's charts. You're like,
I was super creepy. I was like standing like right behind dudes and like trying to squint to see what their indicator settings were and everything like that.
Market hitting down a little bit, just a heads up, but I'm watching the action. I think it's so important, guys, and I think there's ways to mitigate emotions. One of the ways is time frames, right? Using deeper time frames. Another thing, making sure the variables stay in line, right? Remember what I talked about, the 1 minute crossover on the MACD. It happened for me. It actually got in before the cross, which was a little scary. Not something I do often, but that's the conviction move, right? Now I just need to keep watching this, the MACD develop, the volume, the 9 EMA. Those types of things are what? Trend indicators. That's all I'm watching. So I think this is where it gets harder, right? Is the wait period, right? At this point, I wouldn't want it to break 9. I'm just looking for the momentum to continue.
I imagine it does hold down.
Yeah, and again, it makes perfect sense. It's when you're in a good position. What was the money is made in the waiting? That's, I think, Charlie Munger, and that was Jesse Livermore. A lot of great names talk about that. The hardest thing to do is nothing. That's why you talk about me walking away a lot, and with my Coca-Cola position, and then if this FLNC ever breaks, I'll be walking away from both of these just because it's either going to work or it's not. You know, if you're one of those, if I could get every minute that I had back in my life where I sat and just watched my P&L tick up and down for absolutely no reason, I probably could have started 4 or 5 new businesses and, you know, done all kinds of cool stuff. Because if you notice you're just watching those ticks, then there's no benefit to it, right? If you're not going to make action.
Yeah, very, very good point. It's so easy to just get hypnotized by a chart where it's like, I already have my risk defined. What am I doing? The only thing that I'm doing is opening up a potentiality for me to shake myself out of my own idea.
If I've got to stop and I got a target and I'm not planning on doing any trailing or anything, I'm not here, right? It's
contact us.
Turn coming in, guys, a little bit. At least that's what I'm seeing. I'm taking a bet on it. I'm long on the VIX here in the eValve account at 42.64, 600 shares. I keep seeing the top wick, top wick. Now Google's starting to make a quick move down there. I'm going to look to see if Tesla can continue down and some of the bigger boys. Keep your eyes on the bigger boys.
So just what we're seeing here in the SPY, we've got right to the upper Bollinger Band. We're also just this base right here. I'll just highlight this. Right, this is kind of in the end of the day. We kept bopping against this low. We ground up slowly back to that, and now it looks like we're coming off just a little bit. So it's just one of those you just gotta watch to see what's happening there, and whether or not we're going to have a big problem in this area, or whether this is just the same as we've seen all day, where we hit an area of resistance, right? We grind for 10-15 minutes, and then we start to break out slowly. Again, just not a hard market to be trying to super actively trade the overall indices, but yeah, because it's just grind. So the question is, how far do we reverse from here? Does this end up being a crash? Does Trump come out and jam the market down, or are we just taking a little bit of a much needed pause? If you look at a lot of the oscillators, overbought, oversold stuff, we're just getting a little bit oversold into this area while the market's, trying to figure its life out.
9 EMA getting tested here, guys.
One name that I want to point out is X. It's starting to look like it has picked up all of the buyers that it needed under 39 and pushing higher. So that's a name that I'm very bullish on. We have a ton of ARB opportunity up to like 50s. I believe the initial offer was for 54 before. I
got you. I'll put you up now. Jerome Powell. I said we're done with him.
All right, we're done with him. Friendship ended. So basically what I'm seeing is a big crazy move off of the tariff news. This is bullish. Basically, Trump said that he is not trying to block the deal. He just doesn't want Japan to own a majority share or stake. So that does mean that they probably won't get the full $54 they offered initially for it, because they'll have negotiation leverage or whatever. I'm not a businessman. What I am is a crayon guy, and it looks to me like this consolidation is trying to resolve upwards, which makes sense fundamentally. We got the tariffs coming in, and I don't know, man. I like steel. That's what I started trading, So maybe it's a sick illness I have, trading commodities, but I just can't stop, So that's a name I'm really watching for a catch here pretty soon, and I think there's a lot of potential for a nice push, which we are starting to see a little bit of. Okay.
All right, guys, giving myself a penny here, but about to get cut out in BBAI break even, which is more than fine. Like I talk about in my strategy, doesn't need to be highly accurate. It just needs to be smart on the risk to return. Down 33 today on the funded account. That is more than good, guys. Got into 2 opportunities that could easily make me over $100. So, hey, we'll see what happens there. If the market does come back, I think we're just having this little shake right here, and it should probably play out, I think, by 12. So I'd be watching to see what trends are staying in here, and do we get some type of pullback. This is when I usually say that, hey, the lunchtime, that lunch spot in New York City, guys, this is when they go to lunch, the algos take over, and it's going to be very important what happens afterwards. All right, guys, recapping, at least for me, guys, a little bit of a battle day. The other account, I'm still kind of battling. I'm down right now on that account. I'll tell you guys it right now. Let me just get the final amount there. Get here, positions. There we go. And now I got to hit account. Just give me 1 second here, guys. All right, and where is the total? This is where I using the browsers that is messing me up a little bit here, guys. Got the total here. Down about 110, guys. So net about 137, about $26 in fees. Was in Google for a little while there. Was in the green. Just never got the real big push. Now taking the VIX trade here. We'll see what happens, guys. This is one that I'll just wait to see if I get the pop. And this is just going to be about the rejections on the 15 minutes on the SPY on those wicks. All right, guys, BBAI, I'm all out of there, and I'm glad I got out, right? Respected it, right? I would be losing more right now and getting pressured. Once the 9 EMA broke, that was the sign for me to get out, right? I've talked about that. Why? Because look what happens right after that, right? So the 9 EMA breaks with the MACD cross back down, right? And so that's another reason why. It's the sign. Affirm is a good one to keep an eye out for, guys. There is some news on Affirm. They are teaming up with a debit card now to make you go further into debt. So
sure,
there you guys have it. Debit card to get you into debt. That sounds great. Not for me, guys, but hey, well, that's going to do it for us today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like always, Steve, Justy Trades, check him out, guys. We got to get this guy on more often. Michael.
Absolutely.
Always great to be with you, my friend. We'll keep battling out there. And yeah, the grays on the beard. These are those days where the grays get a little bit bigger, guys. And one thing that I would say is, remember, patience is what pays. Today was one of those days where, trust me, I could have traded a bunch in the funded account. But what would have been the worst thing, right? Trading into the chop, trading over and over and over again, and then blowing through a max loss. No, that's what we didn't do today. Was able to manage it 33 down and going to keep battling, guys. I hope you guys appreciate the hard work here that Michael and I and Steve put in every day, right? We're all going to keep trying to help each other grow. And that's what I want in the chat too. Keep helping each other grow. Talk about your winners, your losers, but talk about it in a way that we can all learn from it, right? Like I talked about, there's strengths and weaknesses to learn from every trader. And I mean it. Even the worst ones, you can learn that their weakness and how you could not play it into your trading, right?
Fade them.
Fade them, right? Learn it, right? I mean, if they're doing a strategy that works 10% of the time, guess what? That means it doesn't work 90% of the time. Hey, the other side of the coin, guys. All right, it's good to catch you guys in the chat. Much love to all you guys. Definitely hit the like before you leave. I hope you guys appreciated us looking into Jerome Powell and everything that we do here. We'll see you guys back tomorrow. Hit the like button like always. And like always, subscribe if you're not subscribed before. And do us a favor on X. Let everybody know about us as we continue to grow here and look for more potential viewers. Let's go and let's get out of here, guys. We'll see you back tomorrow. And we got a special guest tomorrow. Guys, don't miss out, guys. Anne-Marie Band, trader, going to be joining us. And trust me, she is the calming voice of the markets. We'll be getting it tomorrow. Yeah, definitely. Tune in, guys. We'll see you guys back tomorrow.